The second book of Moses, commonly called Exodus. Chapter 1. Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who came into Egypt. Every man and his family came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. All the offspring of Jacob were 70 persons, and Joseph had come to Egypt before them. Then Joseph came to his end, and all his brothers, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fertile, increasing very greatly in numbers and in power, and the land was full of them. Now a new king came to power in Egypt, who had no knowledge of Joseph. And he said to his people, "See, the people of Israel are greater in number and in power than we are. Let us take care for fear that their numbers may become even greater, and if there is a war, they may be joined with those who are against us, and make an attack on us, and go up out of the land." So they put overseers of forced work over them, in order to make their strength less by the weight of their work. And they made store towns for Pharaoh, Pithom, and Ramses. But the more cruel they were to them, the more their number increased, till all the land was full of them. And the children of Israel were hated by the Egyptians. And they gave the children of Israel even harder work to do, and made their lives bitter with hard work, making building material and bricks, and doing all sorts of work in the fields under the hardest conditions. And the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew women who gave help at the time of childbirth, the name of the one was Shiphrah and the name of the other Pua, "When you are looking after the Hebrew women in childbirth, if it is a son you are to put him to death, but if it is a daughter, she may go on living." But the women had the fear of God, and did not do as the king of Egypt said, but let the male children go on living. And the king of Egypt sent for the women, and said to them, "Why have you done this, and let the male children go on living?" And they said to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are strong, and the birth takes place before we came to them." And the blessing of God was on these women, and the people were increased in number and became very strong. And because the women who took care of the Hebrew mothers had the fear of God, he gave them families. And Pharaoh gave orders to all his people, saying, "Every son who comes to birth is to be put into the river, but every daughter may go on living." Chapter 2. Now a man of the house of Levi took as his wife a daughter of Levi. And she became with child and gave birth to a son, and when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she kept him secretly for 3 months. And when she was no longer able to keep him secret, she made him a basket out of the stems of water plants, pasting sticky earth over it to keep the water out, and placing the baby in it she put it among the plants by the edge of the Nile. And his sister took her place at a distance to see what would become of him. Now Pharaoh's daughter came down to the Nile to take a bath, while her women were walking by the riverside, and she saw the basket among the river plants, and sent her servant girl to get it. And opening it, she saw the child, and he was crying. And she had pity on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "May I go and get you one of the Hebrew women to give him the breast?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the girl went and got the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take the child away and give it milk for me, and I will give you payment." And the woman took the child and gave it milk at her breast. And when the child was older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter and he became her son, and she gave him the name Moses, because, she said, "I took him out of the water." Now when Moses had become a man, one day he went out to his people and saw how hard their work was, and he saw an Egyptian giving blows to a Hebrew, one of his people. And turning this way and that, and seeing no one, he put the Egyptian to death, covering his body with sand. And he went out the day after and saw 2 of the Hebrews fighting, and he said to him who was in the wrong, "Why are you fighting your brother?" And he said, "Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Are you going to put me to death as you did the Egyptian?" And Moses was in fear, and said, "It is clear that the thing has come to light." Now when Pharaoh had news of this, he would have put Moses to death. But Moses went in flight from Pharaoh into the land of Midian, and he took his seat by a water spring. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, And they came to get water for their father's flock. And the keepers of the sheep came up and were driving them away, but Moses got up and came to their help, watering their flock for them. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, "How is it that you have come back so quickly today?" And they said, "An Egyptian came to our help against the keepers of sheep and got water for us and gave it to the flock." And he said to his daughters, "Where is he? Why have you let the man go? Make him come in and give him a meal." And Moses was happy to go on living with the man, and he gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses. And she gave birth to a son, to whom he gave the name Gershom, for he said, "I have been living in a strange land." Now after a long time the king of Egypt came to his end, and the children of Israel were crying in their grief under the weight of their work, and their cry for help came to the ears of God. And at the sound of their weeping the agreement which God had made with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob came to his mind. And God's eyes were turned to the children of Israel and he gave them the knowledge of himself. Chapter 3. Now Moses was looking after the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he took the flock to the back of the wasteland and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord was seen by him in a flame of fire coming out of a thorn tree, and he saw that the tree was on fire, but it was not burned up. And Moses said, "I will go and see this strange thing, why the tree is not burned up." And when the Lord saw him turning to one side to see, God said his name out of the tree, crying, "Moses, Moses." And he said, "Here am I." And he said, "Do not come near. Take off your shoes from your feet, for the place where you are is holy." And he said, "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And Moses kept his face covered for fear of looking on God. And God said, "Truly, I have seen the grief of my people in Egypt, and their cry because of their cruel masters has come to my ears, for I have knowledge of their sorrows, and I have come down to take them out of the hands of the Egyptians, guiding them out of that land into a good land and wide, into a land flowing with milk and honey, into the place of the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Amorite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. For now, truly, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have seen the cruel behavior of the Egyptians to them. Come, then, and I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you may take my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." And Moses said to God, "Who am I to go to Pharaoh and take the children of Israel out of Egypt?" And he said, "Truly I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that I have sent you. When you have taken the children of Israel out of Egypt, you will give worship to God on this mountain." And Moses said to God, "When I come to the children of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they say to me, 'What is his name?' what am I to say to them?" And God said to him, "I am what I am." And he said, "Say to the children of Israel, 'I am has sent me to you.'" And God went on to say to Moses, "Say to the children of Israel, 'The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my sign to all generations. Go and get together the chiefs of the children of Israel, and say to them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, has been seen by me, and has said, Truly I have taken up your cause, because of what is done to you in Egypt, and I have said, I will take you up out of the sorrows of Egypt into the land of the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Amorite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, into a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will give ear to your voice, and you, with the chiefs of Israel, will go to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has come to us. Let us then go 3 days' journey into the wasteland to make an offering to the Lord our God. And I am certain that the king of Egypt will not let you go without being forced. But I will put out my hand and overcome Egypt with all the wonders which I will do among them, and after that he will let you go. And I will give this people grace in the eyes of the Egyptians, so that when you go out you will go out with your hands full. For every woman will get from her neighbor and from the woman living in her house, ornaments of silver and gold, and clothing. And you will put them on your sons and your daughters. You will take the best of their goods from the Egyptians. Chapter 4. And Moses, answering, said, It is certain that they will not have faith in me or give ear to my voice, for they will say, You have not seen the Lord. And the Lord said to him, What is that in your hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Put it down on the earth. And he put it down on the earth, and it became a snake, and Moses went running from it. And the Lord said to Moses, Put out your hand and take it by the tail. And he put out his hand and took a grip of it, and it became a rod in his hand, so that they may be certain that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, has been seen by you. Then the Lord said to him again, Put your hand inside your clothing. And he put his hand inside his robe, and when he took it out it was like the hand of a leper, as white as snow. And he said, Put your hand inside your robe again. And he put his hand into his robe again, and when he took it out he saw that it had become like his other flesh. And if they do not have faith in you or give ear to the voice of the first sign, they will have faith in the second sign. And if they have no faith even in these two signs and will not give ear to your voice, then you are to take the water of the Nile and put it on the dry land, and the water you take out of the river will become blood on the dry land. And Moses said to the Lord, O Lord, I'm not a man of words. I have never been so, and am not now, even after what you have said to your servant, for talking is hard for me, and I am slow of tongue. And the Lord said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Who takes away a man's voice or hearing, or makes him seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? So go now, and I will be with your mouth, teaching you what to say. And he said, O Lord, send, if you will, by the hand of anyone whom it seems good to you to send. And the Lord was angry with Moses, and said, Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? To my knowledge he is good at talking. And now he is coming out to you, and when he sees you he will be glad in his heart. Let him give ear to your voice, and you will put my words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his, teaching you what you have to do. And he will do the talking for you to the people. He will be to you as a mouth and you will be to him as God. And take in your hand this rod with which you will do the signs. And Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, Let me go back now to my relations in Egypt and see if they are still living. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said to Moses in Midian, Go back to Egypt, for all the men are dead who were attempting to take your life. And Moses took his wife and his sons and put them on an ass and went back to the land of Egypt, and he took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said to Moses, When you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the wonders which I have given you power to do, but I will make his heart hard and he will not let the people go. And you are to say to Pharaoh, The Lord says, Israel is the first of my sons, and I said to you, Let my son go, so that he may give me worship. And you did not let him go, so now I will put the first of your sons to death. Now on the journey, at the night's resting place, the law came in his way and would have put him to death. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone, and cutting off the skin of her son's private parts, and touching his feet with it, she said, Truly you are a husband of blood to me. So he let him go. Then she said, You are a husband of blood because of the circumcision. And the Lord said to Aaron, Go into the wasteland and you will see Moses. So he went and came across Moses at the mountain of God, and gave him a kiss. And Moses gave Aaron an account of all the words of the Lord which he had sent him to say, and of all the signs which he had given him orders to do. Then Moses and Aaron went and got together all the chiefs of the children of Israel, and Aaron said to them all the words the Lord had said to Moses, and did the signs before all the people. And the people had faith in them. And hearing that the Lord had taken up the cause of the children of Israel and had seen their troubles, with bent head they gave him worship. Chapter 5. And after that, Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh, and said, The Lord, the God of Israel, says, Let my people go so that they may keep a feast to me in the wasteland. And Pharaoh said, Who is the Lord, to whose voice I am to give ear and let Israel go? I have no knowledge of the Lord and I will not let Israel go. And they said, The God of the Hebrews has come to us. Let us then go 3 days' journey into the wasteland to make an offering to the Lord our God, so that he may not send death on us by disease or the sword. And the king of Egypt said to them, Why do you, Moses and Aaron, take the people away from their work? Get back to your work. And Pharaoh said, Truly, the people of the land are increasing in number, and you are keeping them back from their work. The same day Pharaoh gave orders to the overseers and those who were responsible for the work, saying, Give these men no more dry stems for their brick making as you have been doing. Let them go and get the material for themselves, but see that they make the same number of bricks as before, and no less, for they have no love for work, and so they are crying out and saying, Let us go and make an offering to our God. Give the men harder work, and see that they do it, let them not give attention to false words. And the overseers of the people and their responsible men went out and said to the people, Pharaoh says, I will give you no more dry stems. Go yourselves and get dry stems wherever you are able, for your work is not to be any less. So the people were sent in all directions through the land of Egypt to get dry grass for stems. And the overseers went on driving them and saying, Do your full day's work as before when there were dry stems for you. And the responsible men of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's overseers had put over them, were given blows, and they said to them, Why have you not done your regular work, in making bricks as before? Then the responsible men of the children of Israel came to Pharaoh, protesting and saying, Why are you acting in this way to your servants? They give us no dry stems and they say to us, Make bricks, and they give your servants blows, but it is your people who are in the wrong. But he said, You have no love for work, that is why you say, Let us go and make an offering to the Lord. Go now, get back to your work. No dry stems will be given to you, but you are to make the full number of bricks. Then the responsible men of the children of Israel saw that they were purposing evil when they said, The number of bricks which you have to make every day will be no less than before. And they came face to face with Moses and Aaron, who were in their way when they came out from Pharaoh, and they said to them, May the Lord take note of you and be your judge, for you have given Pharaoh and his servants a bad opinion of us, putting a sword in their hands for our destruction. And Moses went back to the Lord and said, Lord, why have you done evil to this people? Why have you sent me? For from the time when I came to Pharaoh to put your words before him, he has done evil to this people, and you have given them no help. Chapter 6. And the Lord said to Moses, Now you will see what I am about to do to Pharaoh, for by a strong hand he will be forced to let them go, driving them out of his land because of my outstretched arm. And God said to Moses, I am Yahweh, I let myself be seen by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as God, the ruler of all, but they had no knowledge of my name Yahweh. And I made an agreement with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their wanderings. And truly my ears are open to the cry of the children of Israel whom the Egyptians keep under their yoke, and I have kept in mind my agreement. Say then to the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I will take you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians, and make you safe from their power, and will make you free by the strength of my arm after great punishments. And I will take you to be my people and I will be your God, and you will be certain that I am the Lord your God, who takes you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. And I will be your guide into the land which I made an oath to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And I will give it to you for your heritage. I am Yahweh. And Moses said these words to the children of Israel, but they gave no attention to him, because of the grief of their spirit and the cruel weight of their work. And the Lord said to Moses, Go in and say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he is to let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses, answering the Lord, said, See, the children of Israel will not give ear to me, how then will Pharaoh give ear to me, whose lips are unclean? And the word of the Lord came to Moses and Aaron, with orders for the children of Israel and for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to take the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' families, the sons of Reuben the oldest son of Israel, Hanok and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jemuel and Jamin and Ohad and Jachin and Zohar and Shaul, the son of a woman of Canaan. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi in the order of their generations, Gershon and Kohath and Merari, and the years of Levi's life were 137. The sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimei, in the order of their families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram and Izhar and Hebron and Uzziel, and the years of Kohath's life were 133. And the sons of Merari, Mahli and Mushi, these are the families of the Levites, in the order of their generations. And Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and she gave birth to Aaron and Moses, and the years of Amram's life were 137. And the sons of Izhar, Korah and Nepheg and Zichri. And the sons of Uzziel, Mishael and Elzaphan and Sithri. And Aaron took as his wife Elisheba, the daughter of Amminadab, the sister of Nahshon, and she gave birth to Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Itamar. And the sons of Korah, Asher and Elkanah and Abiasaph, these are the families of the Korahites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took as his wife one of the daughters of Putiel, and she gave birth to Phinehas. These are the heads of the families of the Levites, in the order of their families. These are the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Take the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt in their armies." These are the men who gave orders to Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go out of Egypt. These are the same Moses and Aaron. And on the day when the word of the Lord came to Moses in the land of Egypt, the Lord said to Moses, "I am the Lord, say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I am saying to you." And Moses said to the Lord, "My lips are unclean, how is it possible that Pharaoh will give me a hearing?" Chapter 7. And the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have made you a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother will be your prophet. Say whatever I give you orders to say, and Aaron your brother will give word to Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go out of his land. And I will make Pharaoh's heart hard, and my signs and wonders will be increased in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not give ear to you, and I will put my hand on Egypt, and take my armies, my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt, after great punishments. And the Egyptians will see that I am the Lord, when my hand is stretched out over Egypt, and I take the children of Israel out from among them." And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord gave them orders, so they did. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they gave the Lord's word to Pharaoh. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "If Pharaoh says to you, 'Let me see a wonder,' then say to Aaron, 'Take your rod and put it down on the earth before Pharaoh so that it may become a snake.'" Then Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh and they did as the Lord had said, and Aaron put his rod down on the earth before Pharaoh and his servants, and it became a snake. Then Pharaoh sent for the wise men and the wonder-workers, and they, the wonder-workers of Egypt, did the same with their secret arts. For every one of them put down his rod on the earth, and they became snakes, but Aaron's rod made a meal of their rods. But Pharaoh's heart was made hard, and he did not give ear to them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Pharaoh's heart is unchanged, he will not let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning, when he goes out to the water, you will be waiting for him by the edge of the Nile, with the rod which was turned into a snake in your hand, and say to him, 'The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go so that they may give me worship in the wasteland,' but up to now you have not given ear to his words. So the Lord says, 'By this you may be certain that I am the Lord. See, by the touch of this rod in my hand the waters of the Nile will be turned to blood, and the fish in the Nile will come to destruction, and the river will send up a bad smell, and the Egyptians will not be able, for disgust, to make use of the water of the Nile for drinking.' And the Lord said, 'Say to Aaron, Let the rod in your hand be stretched out over the waters of Egypt, and over the rivers and the streams and the pools, and over every stretch of water, so that they may be turned to blood, and there will be blood through all the land of Egypt, in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.' And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord had said. And when his rod had been lifted up and stretched out over the waters of the Nile before the eyes of Pharaoh and his servants, all the water in the Nile was turned to blood, and the fish in the Nile came to destruction, and a bad smell went up from the river, and the Egyptians were not able to make use of the water of the Nile for drinking, and there was blood through all the land of Egypt. And the wonder-workers of Egypt did the same with their secret arts. But Pharaoh's heart was made hard, and he would not give ear to them, as the Lord had said. Then Pharaoh went into his house, and did not take even this to heart. And all the Egyptians made holes round about the Nile to get drinking water, for they were not able to make use of the Nile water. And 7 days went past, after the Lord had put his hand on the Nile. Chapter 8. And this is what the Lord said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, The Lord says, Let my people go so that they may give me worship. And if you will not let them go, see, I will send frogs into every part of your land, the Nile will be full of frogs, and they will come up into your house and into your bedrooms and on your bed, and into the houses of your servants and your people, and into your ovens and into your bread basins. The frogs will come up over you and your people and all your servants. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Let the rod in your hand be stretched out over the streams and the waterways and the pools, causing frogs to come up on the land of Egypt. And when Aaron put out his hand over the waters of Egypt, the frogs came up and all the land of Egypt was covered with them. And the wonder workers did the same with their secret arts, making frogs come up over the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron and said, Make prayer to the Lord that he will take away these frogs from me and my people, and I will let the people go and make their offering to the Lord. And Moses said, I will let you have the honor of saying when I am to make prayer for you and your servants and your people, that the frogs may be sent away from you and your houses, and be only in the Nile. And he said, By tomorrow. And he said, Let it be as you say, so that you may see that there is no other like the Lord our God. And the frogs will be gone from you and from your houses and from your servants and from your people and will be only in the Nile. Then Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses made prayer to the Lord about the frogs which he had sent on Pharaoh. And the Lord did as Moses said, and there was an end of all the frogs in the houses and in the open spaces and in the fields. And they put them together in masses, and a bad smell went up from the land. But when Pharaoh saw that there was peace for a time, he made his heart hard and did not give ear to them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Let your rod be stretched out over the dust of the earth so that it may become insects through all the land of Egypt. And they did so, and Aaron, stretching out the rod in his hand, gave a touch to the dust of the earth, and insects came on man and on beast. All the dust of the earth was changed into insects through all the land of Egypt, and the wonder workers with their secret arts, attempting to make insects, were unable to do so, and there were insects on man and on beast. Then the wonder workers said to Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he did not give ear to them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said to Moses, Get up early in the morning and take your place before Pharaoh when he comes out of the water, and say to him, This is what the Lord says, Let my people go to give me worship. For if you do not let my people go, see, I will send clouds of flies on you and on your servants and on your people and into their houses, and the houses of the Egyptians and the land where they are will be full of flies. And at that time I will make a division between your land and the land of Goshen where my people are, and no flies will be there, so that you may see that I am the Lord over all the earth. And I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign will be seen. And the Lord did so, and great clouds of flies came into the house of Pharaoh and into his servants' houses, and all the land of Egypt was made waste because of the flies. And Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron and said, Go and make your offering to your God here in the land. And Moses said, It is not right to do so, for we make our offerings of that to which the Egyptians give worship, and if we do so before their eyes, certainly we will be stoned. But we will go 3 days' journey into the wasteland and make an offering to the Lord our God as he may give us orders. Then Pharaoh said, I will let you go to make an offering to the Lord your God in the wasteland, but do not go very far away, and make prayer for me. And Moses said, When I go out from you I will make prayer to the Lord that the cloud of flies may go away from Pharaoh and from his people and from his servants tomorrow. Only let Pharaoh no longer by deceit keep back the people from making their offering to the Lord. Then Moses went out from Pharaoh and made prayer to the Lord. And the Lord did as Moses said, and took away the cloud of flies from Pharaoh and from his servants and from his people. not one was to be seen. But again Pharaoh made his heart hard and did not let the people go. Chapter 9. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh and say to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says, Let my people go so that they may give me worship. For if you will not let them go, but still keep them in your power, then the hand of the Lord will put on your cattle in the field, on the horses and the asses and the camels, on the herds and the flocks, a very evil disease. And the Lord will make a division between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt. There will be no loss of any of the cattle of Israel." And the time was fixed by the Lord, and he said, "Tomorrow the Lord will do this thing in the land." And on the day after, the Lord did as he had said, causing the death of all the cattle of Egypt. But there was no loss of any of the cattle of Israel. And Pharaoh sent and got word that there was no loss of any of the cattle of Israel. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, he did not let the people go. And the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron, "Take in your hand a little dust from the fire and let Moses send it in a shower up to heaven before the eyes of Pharaoh. And it will become small dust over all the land of Egypt, and will be a skin disease bursting out in wounds on man and beast through all the land of Egypt." So they took some dust from the fire, and placing themselves before Pharaoh, Moses sent it out in a shower up to heaven. And it became a skin disease bursting out on man and on beast. And the wonder workers were not able to take their places before Moses, because of the disease, for the disease was on the wonder workers and on all the Egyptians. And the Lord made Pharaoh's heart hard, and he would not give ear to them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and take your place before Pharaoh, and say to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says, Let my people go so that they may give me worship. For this time I will send all my punishments on yourself and on your servants and on your people, so that you may see that there is no other like me in all the earth. For if I had put the full weight of my hand on you and your people, you would have been cut off from the earth. But, for this very reason, I have kept you from destruction, to make clear to you my power, and so that my name may be honored through all the earth. Are you still uplifted in pride against my people so that you will not let them go? Truly, tomorrow about this time I will send down an ice storm, such as never was in Egypt from its earliest days till now. Then send quickly and get in your cattle and all you have from the fields. For if any man or beast in the field has not been put under cover, the ice storm will come down on them with destruction." Then everyone among the servants of Pharaoh who had the fear of the Lord, made his servants and his cattle come quickly into the house, and he who gave no attention to the word of the Lord, kept his servants and his cattle in the field. And the Lord said to Moses, "Now let your hand be stretched out to heaven so that there may be an ice storm on all the land of Egypt, on man and on beast and on every plant of the field through all the land of Egypt." And Moses put out his rod to heaven, and the Lord sent thunder, and an ice storm, and fire running down on the earth. The Lord sent an ice storm on the land of Egypt. So there was an ice storm with fire running through it, coming down with great force, such as never was in all the land of Egypt from the time when it became a nation. And through all the land of Egypt the ice storm came down on everything which was in the fields, on man and on beast, and every green plant was crushed and every tree of the field broken. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, there was no ice storm. Then Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron, and said to them, "I have done evil this time, the Lord is upright, and I and my people are sinners. Make prayer to the Lord, for there has been enough of these thunderings of God and this ice storm, and I will let you go and will keep you no longer." And Moses said, "When I am gone outside the town, my hands will be stretched out to the Lord, the thunders and the ice storm will come to an end, so that you may see that the earth is the Lord's. But as for you and your servants, I am certain that even now the fear of the Lord God will not be in your hearts." And the flax and the barley were damaged, for the barley was almost ready to be cut and the flax was in flower. But the rest of the grain plants were undamaged, for they had not come up. So Moses went out of the town, and stretching out his hands made prayer to God, and the thunders and the ice storm came to an end, and the fall of rain was stopped. But when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the ice storm and the thunders were ended, he went on sinning, and made his heart hard. he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hard, and he did not let the people go, as the Lord had said by the mouth of Moses. Chapter 10. And the Lord said to Moses, Go into Pharaoh, for I have made his heart and the hearts of his servants hard, so that I may let my signs be seen among them, and so that you may be able to give to your son and to your son's son the story of my wonders in Egypt, and the signs which I have done among them, so that you may see that I am the Lord. Then Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and said to him, This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says, How long will you be lifted up in your pride before me? Let my people go so that they may give me worship, for if you will not let my people go, tomorrow I will send locusts into your land, and the face of the earth will be covered with them, so that you will not be able to see the earth, and they will be the destruction of everything which up to now has not been damaged, everything which was not crushed by the ice storm, and every tree still living in your fields. And your houses will be full of them, and the houses of your servants and of all the Egyptians. It will be worse than anything your fathers have seen or their fathers, from the day when they were living on the earth till this day. And so he went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, How long is this man to be the cause of evil to us? Let the men go so that they may give worship to the Lord their God. Are you not awake to Egypt's danger? Then Moses and Aaron came in again before Pharaoh, and he said to them, Go and give worship to the Lord your God, but which of you are going? And Moses said, We will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds. For we are to keep a feast to the Lord. And he said to them, May the Lord be with you, if I will let you and your little ones go. Take care, for your purpose clearly is evil. Not so, but let your males go and give worship to the Lord, as your desire is. This he said, driving them out from before him. And the Lord said to Moses, Let your hand be stretched out over the land of Egypt so that the locusts may come up on the land for the destruction of every green plant in the land, even everything untouched by the ice storm. And Moses' rod was stretched out over the land of Egypt. And the Lord sent an east wind over the land all that day and all the night, and in the morning the locusts came up with the east wind. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt, resting on every part of the land, in very great numbers. Such an army of locusts had never been seen before, and never will be again. For all the face of the earth was covered with them, so that the land was black, and every green plant and all the fruit of the trees which was untouched by the ice storm they took for food, not one green thing, no plant or tree, was to be seen in all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh quickly sent for Moses and Aaron, and said, I have done evil against the Lord your God and against you. Let me now have forgiveness for my sin this time only, and make prayer to the Lord your God that he will take away from me this death only. So he went out from Pharaoh and made prayer to the Lord. And the Lord sent a very strong west wind, which took up the locusts, driving them into the Red Sea. Not one locust was to be seen in any part of Egypt, but the Lord made Pharaoh's heart hard, and he did not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said to Moses, Let your hand be stretched out to heaven, and all the land of Egypt will be dark, so that men will be feeling their way about in the dark. And when Moses' hand was stretched out, dark night came over all the land of Egypt for 3 days. They were not able to see one another, and no one got up from his place for 3 days, but where the children of Israel were living it was light. Then Pharaoh sent for Moses, and said, Go and give worship to the Lord, only let your flocks and your herds be kept here, your little ones may go with you. But Moses said, You will have to let us take burnt offerings to put before the Lord our God. So our cattle will have to go with us? Not one may be kept back, for they are needed for the worship of the Lord our God. We have no knowledge what offering we have to give till we came to the place. But the Lord made Pharaoh's heart hard, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said to him, Go away from me, take care that you come not again before me, for the day when you see my face again will be your last. And Moses said, You say truly, I will not see your face again. Chapter 11. And the Lord said to Moses, I will send one more punishment on Pharaoh and on Egypt, after that he will let you go, and when he does let you go, he will not keep one of you back, but will send you out by force. So go now and give orders to the people that every man and every woman is to get from his or her neighbor ornaments of silver and of gold." And the Lord gave the people grace in the eyes of the Egyptians. For the man Moses was highly honored in the land of Egypt, by Pharaoh's servants and the people. And Moses said, "This is what the Lord says, about the middle of the night I will go out through Egypt, and death will come to every mother's first male child in all the land of Egypt, from the child of Pharaoh on his seat of power, to the child of the servant girl crushing the grain, and the first births of all the cattle. And there will be a great cry through all the land of Egypt, such as never has been or will be again. But against the children of Israel, man or beast, not so much as the tongue of a dog will be moved, so that you may see how the Lord makes a division between Israel and the Egyptians. And all these your servants will come to me, going down on their faces before me and saying, 'Go out, and all your people with you,' and after that I will go out." And he went away from Pharaoh burning with wrath. And the Lord said to Moses, "Pharaoh will not give ear to you, so that my wonders may be increased in the land of Egypt." All these wonders Moses and Aaron did before Pharaoh, but the Lord made Pharaoh's heart hard, and he did not let the children of Israel go out of his land. Chapter 12. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "Let this month be to you the first of months, the first month of the year. Say to all the children of Israel when they are come together, in the 10th day of this month every man is to take a lamb, by the number of their fathers' families, a lamb for every family, and if the lamb is more than enough for the family, let that family and its nearest neighbor have a lamb between them, taking into account the number of persons and how much food is needed for every man. Let your lamb be without a mark, a male in its first year. You may take it from among the sheep or the goats. Keep it till the 14th day of the same month, when everyone who is of the children of Israel is to put it to death between sundown and dark. Then take some of the blood and put it on the two sides of the door and over the door of the house where the meal is to be taken. And let your food that night be the flesh of the lamb, cooked with fire in the oven, together with unleavened bread and bitter-tasting plants. Do not take it uncooked or cooked with boiling water, but let it be cooked in the oven, its head with its legs and its inside parts. Do not keep any of it till the morning. Anything which is not used is to be burned with fire. And take your meal dressed as if for a journey, with your shoes on your feet and your sticks in your hands. Take it quickly. It is the Lord's Passover. For on that night I will go through the land of Egypt, sending death on every first male child, of man and of beast, and judging all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. And the blood will be a sign on the houses where you are. When I see the blood I will go over you, and no evil will come on you for your destruction, when my hand is on the land of Egypt. And this day is to be kept in your memories. You are to keep it as a feast to the Lord through all your generations, as an order forever. For 7 days let your food be unleavened bread. From the first day no leaven is to be seen in your houses. Whoever takes bread with leaven in it, from the first till the 7th day, will be cut off from Israel. And on the first day there is to be a holy meeting, and on the 7th day a holy meeting. No sort of work may be done on those days but only to make ready what is necessary for everyone's food. So keep the feast of unleavened bread, for on this very day I have taken your armies out of the land of Egypt. This day, then, is to be kept through all your generations by an order forever. In the first month, from the evening of the 14th day, let your food be unleavened bread till the evening of the 21st day of the month. For 7 days no leaven is to be seen in your houses, for whoever takes bread which is leavened will be cut off from the people of Israel, if he is from another country or if he is an Israelite by birth. Take nothing which has leaven in it. Wherever you are living let your food be unleavened cakes. Then Moses sent for the chiefs of Israel, and said to them, See that lambs are marked out for yourselves and your families, and let the Passover lamb be put to death. And take some hyssop and put it in the blood in the basin, touching the two sides and the top of the doorway with the blood from the basin, and let not one of you go out of his house till the morning. For the Lord will go through the land, sending death on the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood on the two sides and the top of the door, the Lord will go over your door and will not let death come in for your destruction. And you are to keep this as an order to you and to your sons forever. And when you come into the land which the Lord will make yours, as he gave his word, you are to keep this act of worship. And when your children say to you, "What is the reason of this act of worship?" then you will say, "This is the offering of the Lord's Passover. For he went over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he sent death on the Egyptians, and kept our family safe." And the people gave worship with bent heads. And the children of Israel went and did so, as the Lord had given orders to Moses and Aaron, so they did. And in the middle of the night the Lord sent death on every first male child in the land of Egypt, from the child of Pharaoh on his seat of power to the child of the prisoner in the prison, and the first births of all the cattle. Then Pharaoh got up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and a great cry went up from Egypt, for there was not a house where someone was not dead. And he sent for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, "Get up and go out from among my people, you and the children of Israel. Go and give worship to the Lord as you have said. And take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and give me your blessing." And the Egyptians were forcing the people on, to get them out of the land quickly. For they said, "We are all dead men." And the people took their bread paste before it was leavened, putting their basins in their clothing on their backs. And the children of Israel had done as Moses had said, and they got from the Egyptians ornaments of silver and of gold, and clothing. And the Lord had given the people grace in the eyes of the Egyptians, so that they gave them whatever was requested. So they took away all their goods from the Egyptians, and the children of Israel made the journey from Ramesses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, as well as children. And a mixed band of people went with them, and flocks and herds in great numbers. And they made unleavened cakes from the paste which they had taken out of Egypt. It was not leavened, for they had been sent out of Egypt so quickly, that they had no time to make any food ready. Now the children of Israel had been living in Egypt for 430 years. And at the end of 430 years, to the very day, all the armies of the Lord went out of the land of Egypt. It is a watch night before the Lord who took them out of the land of Egypt. This same night is a watch night to the Lord for all the children of Israel, through all their generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the law of the Passover. No man who is not an Israelite is to take of it, but every man's servant, whom he has got for money, may take of it, when he has had circumcision, a man from a strange country living among you, and a servant working for payment, may not take part in it. It is to be taken in one house. Not a bit of the flesh is to be taken out of the house, and no bone of it may be broken. All Israel is to keep the feast. And if a man from another country is living with you, and has a desire to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all the males of his family undergo circumcision, and then let him come near and keep it, for he will then be as one of your people. But no one without circumcision may keep it. The law is the same for him who is an Israelite by birth and for the man from a strange country who is living with you." So the children of Israel did as the Lord gave orders to Moses and Aaron. And on that very day the Lord took the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Chapter 13. And the Lord said to Moses, "Let the first male child of every mother among the children of Israel be kept holy for me, even the first male birth among man or beast, for it is mine." And Moses said to the people, "Let this day, on which you came out of Egypt, out of your prison house, be kept forever in memory, for by the strength of his hand the Lord has taken you out from this place. Let no leavened bread be used. On this day, in the month Abib, you are going out, and it will be that, when the Lord takes you into the land of the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Amorite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, the land which he made an oath to your fathers that he would give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you will do this act of worship in this month. For 7 days let your food be unleavened cakes, and on the 7th day there is to be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened cakes are to be your food through all the 7 days. Let no leavened bread be seen among you, or any leaven, in any part of your land. And you will say to your son in that day, It is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. And this will be for a sign to you on your hand and for a mark on your brow, so that the law of the Lord may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand the Lord took you out of Egypt. So let this order be kept, at the right time, from year to year. And when the Lord takes you into the land of Canaan, as he made his oath to you and to your fathers, and gives it to you, you are to put on one side for the Lord every mother's first male child, the first fruit of her body, and the first young one of every beast. Every male is holy to the Lord. And for the young of an ass you may give a lamb in payment, or if you will not make payment for it, its neck is to be broken. But for all the first sons among your children, let payment be made. And when your son says to you in time to come, what is the reason for this? Say to him, by the strength of his hand the Lord took us out of Egypt, out of the prison house. And when Pharaoh made his heart hard and would not let us go, the Lord sent death on all the first sons in Egypt, of man and of beast, and so every first male who comes to birth is offered to the Lord. But for all the first of my sons I give a price, and this will be for a sign on your hand and for a mark on your brow, for by the strength of his hand the Lord took us out of Egypt. Now after Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not take them through the land of the Philistines, though that was near, for God said, if the people see war, they may have a change of heart and go back to Egypt. But God took the people round by the wasteland near the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up in fighting order out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the children of Israel take an oath, saying, God will certainly keep you in mind, and you are to take my bones away with you. Then they went on their journey from Succoth, and put up their tents in Etham at the edge of the wasteland. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud, guiding them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they were able to go on day and night. The pillar of cloud went ever before them by day, and the pillar of fire by night. Chapter 14. And the Lord said to Moses, give orders to the children of Israel to go back and put up their tents before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal-zephon, opposite to which you are to put up your tents by the sea. And Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are wandering without direction, they are shut in by the wasteland. And I will make Pharaoh's heart hard, and he will come after them, and I will be honored over Pharaoh and all his army, so that the Egyptians may see that I am the Lord. And they did so. And word came to Pharaoh of the flight of the people, and the feeling of Pharaoh and of his servants about the people was changed, and they said, why have we let Israel go, so that they will do no more work for us? So he had his war carriage made ready and took his people with him, and he took 600 carriages, all the carriages of Egypt, and captains over all of them. And the Lord made the heart of Pharaoh hard, and he went after the children of Israel, for the children of Israel had gone out without fear. But the Egyptians went after them, all the horses and carriages of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them in their tents by the sea, by Pi-hahiroth, before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh came near, the children of Israel, lifting up their eyes, saw the Egyptians coming after them, and were full of fear, and their cry went up to God. And they said to Moses, was there no resting place for the dead in Egypt, that you have taken us away to come to our death in the waste land? Why have you taken us out of Egypt? Did we not say to you in Egypt, let us be as we are, working for the Egyptians? For it is better to be the servants of the Egyptians than to come to our death in the waste land. But Moses said, keep where you are and have no fear, now you will see the salvation of the Lord which he will give you today, for the Egyptians whom you see today you will never see again. The Lord will make war for you, you have only to keep quiet. And the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Give the children of Israel the order to go forward. And let your rod be lifted up and your hand stretched out over the sea, and it will be parted in two, and the children of Israel will go through on dry land. And I will make the heart of the Egyptians hard, and they will go in after them. And I will be honored over Pharaoh and over his army, his war carriages, and his horsemen. And the Egyptians will see that I am the Lord, when I get honor over Pharaoh and his war carriages and his horsemen. Then the angel of God, who had been before the tents of Israel, took his place at their back, and the pillar of cloud, moving from before them, came to rest at their back, and it came between the army of Egypt and the army of Israel, and there was a dark cloud between them. And they went on through the night, but the one army came no nearer to the other all the night. And when Moses' hand was stretched out over the sea, the Lord with a strong east wind made the sea go back all night, and the waters were parted in two and the sea became dry land, and the children of Israel went through the sea on dry land, and the waters were a wall on their right side and on their left. Then the Egyptians went after them into the middle of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses and his war carriages and his horsemen. And in the morning watch, the Lord, looking out on the armies of the Egyptians from the pillar of fire and cloud, sent trouble on the army of the Egyptians, and made the wheels of their war carriages stiff, so that they had hard work driving them. So the Egyptians said, "Let us go in flight from before the face of Israel, for the Lord is fighting for them against the Egyptians." And the Lord said to Moses, "Let your hand be stretched out over the sea, and the waters will come back again on the Egyptians, and on their war carriages and on their horsemen." And when Moses' hand was stretched out over the sea, at dawn the sea came flowing back, meeting the Egyptians in their flight, and the Lord sent destruction on the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. And the waters came back, covering the war carriages and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh which went after them into the middle of the sea. Not one of them was to be seen. But the children of Israel went through the sea walking on dry land, and the waters were a wall on their right side and on their left. So that day the Lord gave Israel salvation from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the sea's edge. And Israel saw the great work which the Lord had done against the Egyptians, and the fear of the Lord came on the people, and they had faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. Chapter 15. Then Moses and the children of Israel made this song to the Lord, and said, "I will make a song to the Lord, for he is lifted up in glory, the horse and the horseman he has sent down into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my strong helper, he has become my salvation, he is my God and I will give him praise, my father's God and I will give him glory. The Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. Pharaoh's war carriages and his army he has sent down into the sea, the best of his captains have gone down into the Red Sea. They were covered by the deep waters, like a stone they went down under the waves. Full of glory, O Lord, is the power of your right hand, by your right hand those who came against you are broken. When you are lifted up in power, all those who come against you are crushed. When you send out your wrath, they are burned up like dry grass. By your breath the waves were massed together, the flowing waters were lifted up like a pillar, the deep waters became solid in the heart of the sea. Egypt said, I will go after them, I will overtake, I will make division of their goods, my desire will have its way with them, my sword will be uncovered, my hand will send destruction on them. You sent your wind and the sea came over them, they went down like lead into the great waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, in holy glory, to be praised with fear, doing wonders? When your right hand was stretched out, the mouth of the earth was open for them. In your mercy you went before the people whom you have made yours, guiding them in your strength to your holy place. Hearing of you the peoples were shaking in fear, the people of Philistia were gripped with pain. The chiefs of Edom were troubled in heart, the strong men of Moab were in the grip of fear, all the people of Canaan became like water. Fear and grief came on them. By the strength of your arm they were turned to stone, till your people went over, O Lord, till the people went over whom you have made yours. You will take them in, planting them in the mountain of your heritage, the place, O Lord, where you have made your house, the holy place, O Lord, the building of your hands. The Lord is king forever and ever. For the horses of Pharaoh, with his war carriages and his horsemen, went into the sea, and the Lord sent the waters of the sea back over them. But the children of Israel went through the sea on dry land. And Miriam, the woman prophet, the sister of Aaron, took an instrument of music in her hand, and all the women went after her with music and dances. And Miriam, answering, said, Make a song to the Lord, for he is lifted up in glory, the horse and the horseman he has sent into the sea. Then Moses took Israel forward from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wasteland of Shur, and for 3 days they were in the wasteland where there was no water. And when they came to Marah, the water was no good for drinking, for the waters of Marah were bitter, which is why it was named Marah. And the people, crying out against Moses, said, "What are we to have for drink?" And in answer to his prayer, the Lord made him see a tree, and when he put it into the water was made sweet. There he gave them a law and an order, testing them, and he said, "If with all your heart you will give attention to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his eyes, giving ear to his orders and keeping his laws, I will not put on you any of the diseases which I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your life-giver." And they came to Elim where there were 12 water springs and 70 palm trees, and they put up their tents there by the waters. Chapter 16. And they went on their way from Elim, and all the children of Israel came into the wasteland of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after they went out of the land of Egypt. And all the children of Israel were crying out against Moses and Aaron in the wasteland, and the children of Israel said to them, "It would have been better for the Lord to have put us to death in the land of Egypt, where we were seated by the flesh pots and had bread enough for our needs, for you have taken us out of this waste of sand, to put all this people to death through need of food." Then the Lord said to Moses, "See, I will send down bread from heaven for you, and the people will go out every day and get enough for the day's needs, so that I may put them to the test to see if they will keep my laws or not. And on the 6th day they are to make ready what they get in, and it will be twice as much as they get on the other days." And Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, "This evening it will be clear to you that it is the Lord who has taken you out of the land of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord. For your angry words against the Lord have come to his ears, and what are we that you are crying out against us?" And Moses said, "The Lord will give you meat for your food at evening, and in the morning bread in full measure, for your outcry against the Lord has come to his ears. For what are we? Your outcry is not against us but against the Lord." And Moses said to Aaron, "Say to all the people of Israel, Come near before the Lord, for he has given ear to your outcry." And while Aaron was talking to the children of Israel, their eyes were turned in the direction of the wasteland, and they saw the glory of the Lord shining in the cloud. And the Lord said to Moses, "The outcry of the children of Israel has come to my ears. Say to them now, at nightfall you will have meat for your food, and in the morning bread in full measure, and you will see that I am the Lord your God." And it came about that in the evening little birds came up and the place was covered with them, and in the morning there was dew all round about the tents. And when the dew was gone, on the face of the earth was a small round thing, like small drops of ice on the earth. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, "What is it?" For they had no idea what it was. And Moses said to them, "It is the bread which the Lord has given you for your food. This is what the Lord has said, let every man take up as much as he has need of, at the rate of 1 omer for every person, let every man take as much as is needed for his family." And the children of Israel did so, and some took more and some less. And when it was measured, he who had taken up much had nothing over, and he who had little had enough. Every man had taken what he was able to make use of. And Moses said to them, "Let nothing be kept till the morning." But they gave no attention to Moses, and some of them kept it till the morning, and there were worms in it, and it had an evil smell, and Moses was angry with them. And they took it up morning by morning, every man as he had need, and when the sun was high it was gone. And on the 6th day they took up twice as much of the bread, 2 omers for every person, and all the rulers of the people gave Moses word of it. And he said, "This is what the Lord has said, tomorrow is a day of rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. What has to be cooked may be cooked, and what is over, put on one side to be kept till the morning." And they kept it till the morning as Moses had said, and no smell came from it, and it had no worms. And Moses said, "Make your meal today of what you have, for this day is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not get any in the fields. For 6 days you will get it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." But still on the 7th day some of the people went out to get it, and there was not any. And the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you go against my orders and my laws? See, because the Lord has given you the Sabbath, he gives you on the 6th day bread enough for 2 days. Let every man keep where he is, let no man go out of his place on the 7th day." So the people took their rest on the seventh day. And this bread was named manna by Israel. It was white, like a grain seed, and its taste was like cakes made with honey. And Moses said, "This is the order which the Lord has given. Let 1 omer of it be kept for future generations, so that they may see the bread which I gave you for your food in the wasteland, when I took you out from the land of Egypt." And Moses said to Aaron, "Take a pot and put 1 omer of manna in it, and put it away before the Lord, to be kept for future generations." So Aaron put it away in front of the holy chest to be kept, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And the children of Israel had manna for their food for 40 years, till they came to a land with people in it, till they came to the edge of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah. Chapter 17. And the children of Israel went on from the wasteland of Sin, by stages as the Lord gave them orders, and put up their tents in Rephidim, and there was no drinking water for the people. So the people were angry with Moses, and said, "Give us water for drinking." And Moses said, "Why are you angry with me? And why do you put God to the test?" And the people were in great need of water, and they made an outcry against Moses, and said, "Why have you taken us out of Egypt to send death on us and our children and our cattle through need of water?" And Moses, crying out to the Lord, said, "What am I to do to this people? They are almost ready to put me to death by stoning." And the Lord said to Moses, "Go on before the people, and take some of the chiefs of Israel with you, and take in your hand the rod which was stretched out over the Nile, and go. See, I will take my place before you on the rock in Horeb, and when you give the rock a blow, water will come out of it, and the people will have drink." And Moses did so before the eyes of the chiefs of Israel. And he gave that place the name Massah and Meribah, because the children of Israel were angry, and because they put the Lord to the test, saying, "Is the Lord with us or not?" Then Amalek came and made war on Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, "Get together a band of men for us and go out, make war on Amalek. Tomorrow I will take my place on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand." So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and went to war with Amalek, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Now while Moses' hand was lifted up, Israel was the stronger, but when he let his hand go down, Amalek became the stronger. But Moses' hands became tired, so they put a stone under him and he took his seat on it, Aaron and Hur supporting his hands, one on one side and one on the other. So his hands were kept up without falling till the sun went down. And Joshua overcame Amalek and his people with the sword. And the Lord said to Moses, "Make a record of this in a book, so that it may be kept in memory, and say it again in the ears of Joshua, that all memory of Amalek is to be completely uprooted from the earth." Then Moses put up an altar and gave it the name of Yahweh Nissi, for he said, "The Lord has taken his oath that there will be war with Amalek from generation to generation." Chapter 18. Now news came to Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, of all God had done for Moses and for Israel his people, and how the Lord had taken Israel out of Egypt. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her away, and had 2 sons, one of whom was named Gershom, for he said, "I have been living in a strange land," and the name of the other was Eliezer, for he said, "The God of my father was my help, and kept me safe from the sword of Pharaoh." And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to where Moses had put up his tent in the wasteland, by the mountain of God. And he said to Moses, "I, your father-in-law, have come to you, with your wife and your 2 sons." And Moses went out to his father-in-law, and went down on his face before him and gave him a kiss, and they said to one another, "Are you well?" And they came into the tent. And Moses gave his father-in-law an account of all the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians because of Israel, and of all the troubles which had come on them by the way, and how the Lord had given them salvation. And Jethro was glad because the Lord had been good to Israel, freeing them from the power of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, "Praise be to the Lord, who has taken you out of the hand of Pharaoh and out of the hand of the Egyptians, freeing the people from the yoke of the Egyptians." Now I am certain that the Lord is greater than all gods, for he has overcome them in their pride." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, made a burnt offering to God, and Aaron came, with the chiefs of Israel, and had a meal with Moses' father-in-law, before God. Now on the day after, Moses took his seat to give decisions for the people, and the people were waiting before Moses from morning till evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all he was doing, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why are you seated here by yourself, with all the people waiting before you from morning till evening?" And Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to get directions from God, and if they have any question between themselves, they came to me. And I am judge between a man and his neighbor, and I give them the orders and laws of God." And Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. Your strength and that of the people will be completely used up. This work is more than you are able to do by yourself. Give ear now to my suggestion, and may God be with you. You are to be the people's representative before God, taking their causes to him, teaching them his rules and his laws, guiding them in the way they have to go, and making clear to them the work they have to do. But for the rest, take from among the people able men, such as have the fear of God, true men hating prophets wrongly made, and put such men over them, to be captains of thousands, captains of hundreds and of fifties and of tens, and let them be judges in the causes of the people at all times, and let them put before you all important questions, but in small things let them give decisions themselves. In this way, it will be less hard for you, and they will take the weight off you. If you do this, and God gives approval, then you will be able to go on without weariness, and all this people will go to their tents in peace." So Moses took note of the words of his father-in-law, and did as he had said. And he made selection of able men out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, captains of thousands, captains of hundreds and of fifties and of tens. And they were judges in the causes of the people at all times. The hard questions they put before Moses, but on every small point they gave decisions themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law go away, and he went back to his land. Chapter 19. In the 3rd month after the children of Israel went out from Egypt, on the same day, they came into the wasteland of Sinai. And when they had gone away from Rephidim and had come into the wasteland of Sinai, they put up their tents in the wasteland before the mountain. There Israel put up its tents. And Moses went up to God, and the voice of the Lord came to him from the mountain, saying, "Say to the family of Jacob, and give word to the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I took you, as on eagle's wings, guiding you to myself. If now you will truly give ear to my voice and keep my agreement, you will be my special property out of all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom of priests to me, and a holy nation. These are the words which you are to say to the children of Israel." And Moses came and sent for the chiefs of the people and put before them all these words which the Lord had given him orders to say. And all the people, answering together, said, "Whatever the Lord has said we will do." And Moses took back to the Lord the words of the people. And the Lord said to Moses, "See, I will come to you in a thick cloud, so that what I say to you may come to the ears of the people and they may have belief in you forever." And Moses gave the Lord word of what the people had said. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and make them holy today and tomorrow, and let their clothing be washed. And by the 3rd day let them be ready, for on the 3rd day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai, before the eyes of all the people. And let limits be marked out for the people round the mountain, and say to them, take care not to go up the mountain or near the sides of it. Whoever puts his foot on the mountain will certainly come to his death. He is not to be touched by a hand, but is to be stoned or have an arrow put through him, man or beast. He is to be put to death. At the long sounding of a horn they may come up to the mountain." Then Moses went down from the mountain to the people, and made the people holy, and their clothing was washed. And he said to the people, "Be ready by the 3rd day, do not come near a woman." And when morning came on the 3rd day, there were thunders and flames and a thick cloud on the mountain, and a horn sounding very loud, and all the people in the tents were shaking with fear. And Moses made the people come out of their tents and take their places before God, and they came to the foot of the mountain, and all the mountain of Sinai was smoking, for the Lord had come down on it in fire, and the smoke of it went up like the smoke of a great burning, and all the mountain was shaking. And when the sound of the horn became louder and louder, Moses' words were answered by the voice of God. Then the Lord came down onto Mount Sinai, to the top of the mountain, and the Lord sent for Moses to come up to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go down and give the people orders to keep back, for fear that a great number of them, forcing their way through to see the Lord, may come to destruction. And let the priests who come near to the Lord make themselves holy, for fear that the Lord may come on them suddenly." And Moses said to the Lord, "The people will not be able to come up the mountain, for you gave us orders to put limits round the mountain, marking it out and making it holy." And the Lord said to him, "Go down, and you and Aaron may come up, but let not the priests and the people make their way through to the Lord, or he will come on them suddenly." So Moses went down to the people and said this to them. Chapter 20. And God said all these words, "I am the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the prison house. You are to have no other gods but me. You are not to make an image or picture of anything in heaven or on the earth or in the waters under the earth. You may not go down on your faces before them or give them worship, for I, the Lord your God, am a God who will not give his honor to another, and I will send punishment on the children for the wrongdoing of their fathers, to the third and fourth generation of my haters, and I will have mercy through 1,000 generations on those who have love for me and keep my laws. You are not to make use of the name of the Lord your God for an evil purpose. Whoever takes the Lord's name on his lips for an evil purpose will be judged a sinner by the Lord. Keep in memory the Sabbath and let it be a holy day. On 6 days do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On that day you are to do no work, you or your son or your daughter, your manservant or your womanservant, your cattle or the man from a strange country who is living among you, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and the sea, and everything in them, and he took his rest on the seventh day. For this reason the Lord has given his blessing to the seventh day and made it holy. Give honor to your father and to your mother, so that your life may be long in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Do not put anyone to death without cause. Do not be false to the married relation. Do not take the property of another. Do not give false witness against your neighbor. Let not your desire be turned to your neighbor's house, or his wife or his manservant or his womanservant or his ox or his ass or anything which is his. And all the people were watching the thunderings and the flames and the sound of the horn and the mountain smoking, and when they saw it, they kept far off, shaking with fear. And they said to Moses, "To your words we will give ear, but let not the voice of God come to our ears, for fear death may come on us." And Moses said to the people, "Have no fear, for God has come to put you to the test, so that fearing him you may be kept from sin." And the people kept their places far off, but Moses went near to the dark cloud where God was. And the Lord said to Moses, "Say to the children of Israel, you yourselves have seen that my voice has came to you from heaven. Gods of silver and gods of gold you are not to make for yourselves. Make for me an altar of earth, offering on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I have put the memory of my name, I will come to you and give you my blessing. And if you make me an altar of stone, do not make it of cut stones, for the touch of an instrument will make it unclean. And do not go up by steps to my altar, for fear that your bodies may be seen uncovered." Chapter 21. Now these are the laws which you are to put before them. If you get a Hebrew servant for money, he is to be your servant for 6 years, and in the 7th year you are to let him go free without payment. If he comes to you by himself, let him go away by himself. If he is married, let his wife go away with him. If his master gives him a wife, and he gets sons or daughters by her, the wife and her children will be the property of the master, and the servant is to go away by himself. But if the servant says clearly, "My master and my wife and children are dear to me, I have no desire to be free," then his master is to take him to the gods of the house, and at the door, or at its framework. He is to make a hole in his ear with a sharp-pointed instrument, and he will be his servant forever. And if a man gives his daughter for a price to be a servant, she is not to go away free as the men servants do. If she is not pleasing to her master who has taken her for himself, let a payment be made for her so that she may go free. Her master has no power to get a price for her and send her to a strange land, because he has been false to her. And if he gives her to his son, he is to do everything for her as if she was his daughter. And if he takes another woman, her food and clothing and her marriage rights are not to be less. And if he does not do these three things for her, she has the right to go free without payment. He who gives a man a death blow is himself to be put to death. But if he had no evil purpose against him, and God gave him into his hand, I will give you a place to which he may go in flight. But if a man makes an attack on his neighbor on purpose, to put him to death by deceit, you are to take him from my altar and put him to death. Any man who gives a blow to his father or his mother is certainly to be put to death. Any man who gets another into his power in order to get a price for him is to be put to death, if you take him in the act. Any man cursing his father or his mother is to be put to death. If, in a fight, one man gives another a blow with a stone, or with a shut hand, not causing his death, but making him keep in bed, if he is able to get up again and go about with a stick, the other will be let off, only he will have to give him payment for the loss of his time, and see that he is cared for till he is well. If a man gives his manservant or his womanservant blows with a rod, causing death, he is certainly to undergo punishment. But, at the same time, if the servant goes on living for a day or two, the master is not to get punishment, for the servant is his property. If men, while fighting, do damage to a woman with child, causing the loss of the child, but no other evil comes to her, the man will have to make payment up to the amount fixed by her husband, in agreement with the decision of the judges. But if damage comes to her, let life be given in payment for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, blow for blow. If a man gives his manservant or his womanservant a blow in the eye, causing its destruction, he is to let him go free on account of the damage to his eye. Or if the loss of a tooth is caused by his blow, he will let him go free on account of his tooth. If an ox comes to be the cause of death to a man or a woman, the ox is to be stoned, and its flesh may not be used for food, but the owner will not be judged responsible. But if the ox has frequently done such damage in the past, and the owner has had word of it and has not kept it under control, so that it has been the cause of the death of a man or woman, not only is the ox to be stoned, but its owner is to be put to death. If a price is put on his life, let him make payment of whatever price is fixed. If the death of a son or of a daughter has been caused, the punishment is to be in agreement with this rule. If the death of a manservant or of a womanservant is caused by the ox, the owner is to give their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox is to be stoned. If a man makes a hole in the earth without covering it up, and an ox or an ass dropping into it comes to its death, the owner of the hole is responsible. He will have to make payment to their owner, but the dead beast will be his. And if one man's ox does damage to another man's ox, causing its death, then the living ox is to be exchanged for money, and division made of the price of it, and of the price of the dead one. But if it is common knowledge that the ox has frequently done such damage in the past, and its owner has not kept it under control, he will have to give ox for ox, and the dead beast will be his. Chapter 22. If a man takes without right another man's ox or his sheep, and puts it to death or gets a price for it, he is to give 5 oxen for an ox, or 4 sheep for a sheep, in payment. The thief will have to make payment for what he has taken. If he has no money, he himself will have to be exchanged for money, so that payment may be made. If a thief is taken in the act of forcing his way into a house, and his death is caused by a blow, the owner of the house is not responsible for his blood. But if it is after dawn, he will be responsible. If he still has what he had taken, whatever it is, ox or ass or sheep, he is to give twice its value. If a man makes a fire in a field or a vine garden, and lets the fire do damage to another man's field, he is to give of the best produce of his field or his vine garden to make up for it. If there is a fire and the flames get to the thorns at the edge of the field, causing destruction of the cut grain or of the living grain, or of the field, he who made the fire will have to make up for the damage. If a man puts money or goods in the care of his neighbor to keep for him, and it is taken from the man's house, if they get the thief, he will have to make payment of twice the value. If they do not get the thief, let the master of the house come before the judges and take an oath that he has not put his hand on his neighbor's goods. In any question about an ox or an ass or a sheep or clothing, or about the loss of any property which anyone says is his, let the two sides put their cause before God, and he who is judged to be in the wrong is to make payment to his neighbor of twice the value. If a man puts an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast into the keeping of his neighbor, and it comes to death or is damaged or is taken away, without any person seeing it, if he takes his oath before the Lord that he has not put his hand to his neighbor's goods, the owner is to take his word for it and he will not have to make payment for it. But if it is taken from him by a thief, he is to make up for the loss of it to its owner. But if it has been damaged by a beast, and he is able to make this clear, he will not have to make payment for what was damaged. If a man gets from his neighbor the use of one of his beasts, and it is damaged or put to death when the owner is not with it, he will certainly have to make payment for the loss. If the owner is with it, he will not have to make payment. If he gave money for the use of it, the loss is covered by the payment. If a man takes a virgin, who has not given her word to another man, and has connection with her, he will have to give a bride price for her to be his wife. If her father will not give her to him on any account, he will have to give the regular payment for virgins. Any woman using unnatural powers or secret arts is to be put to death. Any man who has sex connection with a beast is to be put to death. Complete destruction will come on any man who makes offerings to any other god but the Lord. Do no wrong to a man from a strange country, and do not be hard on him, for you yourselves were living in a strange country, in the land of Egypt. Do no wrong to a widow, or to a child whose father is dead. If you are cruel to them in any way, and their cry comes up to me, I will certainly give ear, and in the heat of my wrath I will put you to death with the sword, so that your wives will be widows and your children without fathers. If you let any of the poor among my people have the use of your money, do not be a hard creditor to him, and do not take interest. If ever you take your neighbor's clothing in exchange for the use of your money, let him have it back before the sun goes down, for it is the only thing he has for covering his skin. What is he to go to sleep in? And when his cry comes up to me, I will give ear, for my mercy is great. You may not say evil of the judges, or put a curse on the ruler of your people. Do not keep back your offerings from the wealth of your grain and your vines. The first of your sons you are to give to me. In the same way with your oxen and your sheep, for 7 days let the young one be with its mother, on the 8th day give it to me. You are to be holy men to me. The flesh of no animal whose death has been caused by the beasts of the field may be used for your food, it is to be given to the dogs. Chapter 23. Do not let a false statement go further, do not make an agreement with evildoers to be a false witness. Do not be moved to do wrong by the general opinion, or give the support of your words to a wrong decision, but, on the other hand, do not be turned from what is right in order to give support to a poor man's cause. If you come across the ox or the ass of one who is no friend to you wandering from its way, you are to take it back to him. If you see the ass of one who has no love for you bent down to the earth under the weight which is put on it, you are to come to its help, even against your desire. Let no wrong decisions be given in the poor man's cause. Keep yourselves far from any false business. Never let the upright or him who has done no wrong be put to death, for I will make the evildoer responsible for his sin. Take no rewards in a cause, for rewards make blind those who have eyes to see, and make the decisions of the upright false. Do not be hard on a man from a strange country who is living among you, for you have had experience of the feelings of one who is far from the land of his birth, because you yourselves were living in Egypt, in a strange land. For 6 years put seed into your fields and get in the increase, but in the 7th year let the land have a rest and be unplanted, so that the poor may have food from it, and let the beasts of the field take the rest. Do the same with your vine gardens and your olive trees. For 6 days do your work, and on the 7th day keep the Sabbath, so that your ox and your ass may have rest, together with the son of your servant and the man from a strange land living among you. Take note of all these things which I have said to you, and let not the names of other gods come into your minds or from your lips. 3 times in the year you are to keep a feast to me. You are to keep the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days let your bread be without leaven, as I gave you orders, at the regular time in the month Abib, for in it you came out of Egypt. And let no one come before me without an offering, and the feast of the grain cutting, the firstfruits of your planted fields, and the feast at the start of the year, when you have got in all the fruit from your fields. 3 times in the year let all your males come before the Lord God. Do not give the blood of my offering with leavened bread, and do not let the fat of my feast be kept all night till the morning. The best of the firstfruits of your land are to be taken into the house of the Lord your God. The young goat is not to be cooked in its mother's milk. See, I am sending an angel before you, to keep you on your way and to be your guide into the place which I have made ready for you. Give attention to him and give ear to his voice. Do not go against him, for your wrongdoing will not be overlooked by him, because my name is in him. But if you truly give ear to his voice, and do whatever I say, then I will be against those who are against you, fighting those who are fighting you. And my angel will go before you, guiding you into the land of the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Canaanite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, and they will be cut off by my hand. Do not go down on your faces and give worship to their gods, or do as they do, but overcome them completely, and let their pillars be broken down. And give worship to the Lord your God, who will send his blessing on your bread and on your water, and I will take all disease away from among you. All your animals will give birth without loss, not one will be without young in all your land. I will give you a full measure of life. I will send my fear before you, putting to flight all the people to whom you come. All those who are against you will go in flight, turning their backs before you. I will send hornets before you, driving out the Hivite and the Canaanite and the Hittite before your face. I will not send them all out in 1 year, for fear that their land may become waste, and the beasts of the field be increased overmuch against you. Little by little I will send them away before you, till your numbers are increased and you take up your heritage in the land. I will let the limits of your land be from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wasteland to the river Euphrates, for I will give the people of those lands into your power, and you will send them out before you. Make no agreement with them or with their gods. Let them not go on living in your land, or they will make you do evil against me, for if you give worship to their gods, it will certainly be a cause of sin to you. Chapter 24. And he said to Moses, Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the chiefs of Israel, and give me worship from a distance. And Moses only may come near to the Lord, but the others are not to come near, and the people may not come up with them. Then Moses came and put before the people all the words of the Lord and his laws, and all the people, answering with one voice, said, Whatever the Lord has said we will do. Then Moses put down in writing all the words of the Lord, and he got up early in the morning and made an altar at the foot of the mountain, with 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent some of the young men of the children of Israel to make burnt offerings and peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half the blood and put it in basins, draining out half of the blood over the altar. And he took the book of the agreement, reading it in the hearing of the people, and they said, Everything which the Lord has said we will do, and we will keep his laws. Then Moses took the blood and let it come on the people, and said, This blood is the sign of the agreement which the Lord has made with you in these words. Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the chiefs of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel, and under his feet there was, as it seemed, a jeweled floor, clear as the heavens. And he put not his hand on the chiefs of the children of Israel. They saw God, and took food and drink. And the Lord said to Moses, Come up to me on the mountain, and take your place there, and I will give you the stones on which I have put in writing the law and the orders, so that you may give the people knowledge of them. Then Moses and Joshua his servant got up, And Moses went up into the mountain of God. And he said to the chiefs, "Keep your places here till we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you. If anyone has any cause, let him go to them." And Moses went up into the mountain, and it was covered by the cloud. And the glory of the Lord was resting on Mount Sinai, and the cloud was over it for 6 days. And on the 7th day he said Moses' name out of the cloud. And the glory of the Lord was like a flame on the top of the mountain before the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went up the mountain, into the cloud, and was there for 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 25. And the Lord said to Moses, "Say to the children of Israel that they are to make me an offering. From every man who has the impulse in his heart take an offering for me. And this is the offering you are to take from them: gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and red, and the best linen, and goat's hair, and sheepskins colored red, and leather, and hard wood, oil for the light, spices for the sweet-smelling oil, sweet perfumes for burning, beryls and stones of value to be put on the ephod and on the priest's bag. And let them make me a holy place, so that I may be ever present among them. Make the house and everything in it from the designs which I will give you. And they are to make an ark of hard wood, 2.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits wide and high. It is to be plated inside and out with the best gold, with an edge of gold all round it, and make 4 rings of gold for it, to be fixed on its 4 feet, 2 rings on one side of it and 2 on the other. And make rods of the same wood, plating them with gold, and put the rods through the rings at the sides of the ark, for lifting it. The rods are to be kept in the rings, and never taken out. Inside the ark you are to put the record which I will give you. And you are to make a cover of the best gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. And at the 2 ends of the cover you are to make 2 winged ones of hammered gold, one at one end and one at the other. The winged ones are to be part of the cover, and their wings are to be outstretched over the cover. And the winged ones are to be opposite one another, facing the cover. And put the cover over the ark, and in the ark the record which I will give you. And there, between the 2 winged ones on the cover of the ark, I will come to you, face to face, and make clear to you all the orders I have to give you for the children of Israel. And you are to make a table of the same wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide and 1.5 cubits high, plated with the best gold, with a gold edge all round it, and make a frame all round it, as wide as a man's hand, with a gold edge to the frame. And make 4 gold rings and put them at the 4 angles, on the 4 feet of the table. The rings are to be fixed under the frame to take the rods with which the table is to be lifted. Make rods of the same wood, plated with gold, for lifting the table. And make the table vessels, the spoons and the cups and the basins for liquids, all of the best gold. And on the table at all times you are to keep my holy bread. And you are to make a support for lights, of the best gold. Its base and its pillar are to be of hammered gold. Its cups, its buds, and its flowers are to be made of the same metal. It is to have 6 branches coming out from its sides, 3 branches from one side and 3 from the other. Every branch having 3 cups made like almond flowers, every cup with a bud and a flower, on all the branches. And on the pillar, 4 cups like almond flowers, every one with its bud and its flower, and under every 2 branches a bud, made with the branch, for all the 6 branches of it. The buds and the branches are to be made of the same metal, altogether one complete work of hammered gold. Then you are to make it 7 vessels for the lights, putting them in their place so that they give light in front of it. And the instruments and trays for use with it are all to be of the best gold. A talent of gold will be needed for it, with all these vessels. And see that you make them from the design which you saw on the mountain. Chapter 26. And you are to make a house for me, with 10 curtains of the best linen, blue and purple and red, worked with designs of winged ones by a good workman. Every curtain is to be 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, all of the same measure. 5 curtains are to be joined together, and the other 5 are to be joined together. And you are to put twists of blue cord on the edge of the outside curtain of the first group of 5, and on the edge of the outside curtain of the second group of 5, 50 twists on one curtain and 50 on the other. the twists to be opposite one another. Then make 50 gold hooks, joining the curtains together by the hooks, and in this way the house will be made. And you are to make curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the house, 11 curtains. Every curtain is to be 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, all of the same measure. 5 of these curtains are to be joined together, and the other 6 are to be joined together, the 6th being folded over to make a hanging in front of the tent. And you are to put 50 twists of cord on the edge of the outside curtain of one group, and 50 twists on the edge of the outside curtain of the other group. Then make 50 brass hooks and put the hooks into the twists, joining the tent together to make it one. And the folded part which is over of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain which is folded back, will be hanging down over the back of the house. And the cubit which is over of the 10 curtains at the sides will be hanging over the 2 sides of the house as a cover. And then you are to make a cover for the tent, of sheepskins colored red, and a cover of leather over that. And you are to make upright boards of hardwood for the house. Every board is to be 10 cubits high and a cubit and a half wide. Every board is to be joined to the one nearest to it by 2 tongues, and so for every board in the house. These are the boards needed for the house, 20 boards for the south side, with 40 silver bases under the 20 boards, 2 bases under every board to take its tongues, and 20 boards for the second side of the house on the north, with their 40 silver bases, 2 under every board. And 6 boards for the back of the house on the west, with 2 boards for the angles of the house at the back. The 2 are to be joined together at the base and at the top to one ring, forming the 2 angles. So there are to be 8 boards, with their 16 silver bases, 2 bases under every board, and make rods of the same wood, 5 for the boards on the one side, and 5 for the boards on the other side of the house, and 5 for the west side of the house at the back. And the middle rod is to go through the rings of all the boards from end to end. And the boards are to be plated with gold, having gold rings for the rods to go through, and the rods are to be plated with gold. And you are to make the house from the design which you saw on the mountain. And you are to make a veil of the best linen, blue and purple and red, worked with designs of winged ones by a good workman, hanging it by gold hooks from 4 pillars of wood, plated with gold and fixed in silver bases. And you are to put up the veil under the hooks, and put inside it the ark of the law. The veil is to be a division between the holy place and the most holy. You are to put the cover on the ark of the law, inside the most holy place. And outside the veil you are to put the table, and the support for the lights opposite the table on the south side of the house, and the table is to be on the north side. And you are to make a curtain for the doorway of the tent, of the best linen with needlework of blue and purple and red. And make 5 pillars for the curtain, of hardwood plated with gold, their hooks are to be of gold and their bases of brass. Chapter 27. And make an altar of hardwood, a square altar, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide and 3 cubits high. Put horns at the 4 angles of it, made of the same, plating it all with brass. And make all its vessels, the baskets for taking away the dust of the fire, the spades and basins and meat hooks and fire trays, of brass. And make a network of brass, with 4 brass rings at its 4 angles. And put the network under the shelf round the altar so that the net comes halfway up the altar. And make rods for the altar, of hardwood, plated with brass. And put the rods through the rings at the 2 opposite sides of the altar, for lifting it. The altar is to be hollow, boarded in with wood. Make it from the design which you saw on the mountain. And let there be an open space round the house, with hangings for its south side of the best linen, 100 cubits long. Their 20 pillars and their 20 bases are to be of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their bands are to be of silver. And on the north side in the same way, hangings 100 cubits long, with 20 pillars of brass on bases of brass, their hooks and their bands are to be of silver. And for the open space on the west side, the hangings are to be 50 cubits wide, with 10 pillars and 10 bases, and on the east side the space is to be 50 cubits wide. On the one side of the doorway will be hangings 15 cubits long, with 3 pillars and 3 bases, and on the other side, hangings 15 cubits long, with 3 pillars and 3 bases. And across the doorway, a veil of 20 cubits of the best linen, made of needlework of blue and purple and red, with 4 pillars and 4 bases. All the pillars round the open space are to have silver bands, with hooks of silver and bases of brass. The open space is to be 100 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, with sides 5 cubits high, curtained with the best linen, with bases of brass. All the instruments for the work of the house, and all its nails, and the nails of the open space are to be of brass. Give orders to the children of Israel to give you clear olive oil for the lights, so that a light may be burning there at all times. Let Aaron and his sons put this in order, evening and morning, before the Lord, inside the tent of meeting, outside the veil which is before the ark. This is to be an order forever, from generation to generation, to be kept by the children of Israel. Chapter 28. Now let Aaron your brother, and his sons with him, come near from among the children of Israel, so that they may be my priests, even Aaron, and Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Itamar, his sons. And make holy robes for Aaron your brother, so that he may be clothed with glory and honor. Give orders to all the wise-hearted workmen, whom I have made full of the spirit of wisdom, to make robes for Aaron, so that he may be made holy as my priest. This is what they are to make: a priest's bag, an ephod, and a robe, and a coat of colored needlework, a headdress, and a linen band. They are to make holy robes for Aaron your brother and for his sons, so that they may do the work of priests for me. They are to take the gold and blue and purple and red and the best linen, and make the ephod of gold and blue and purple and red and the best linen, the work of a designer. It is to have 2 bands stitched to it at the top of the arms, joining it together, and the beautifully worked band, which goes on it, is to be of the same work and the same material, of gold and blue and purple and red and twisted linen work. You are to take 2 beryl stones, on which the names of the children of Israel are to be cut, 6 names on the one stone and 6 on the other, in the order of their birth. With the work of a jeweler, like the cutting of a stamp, the names of the children of Israel are to be cut on them, and they are to be fixed in twisted frames of gold. And the 2 stones are to be placed on the ephod, over the armholes, to be stones of memory for the children of Israel. Aaron will have their names on his arms when he goes in before the Lord, to keep the Lord in mind of them. And you are to make twisted frames of gold, and 2 chains of the best gold, twisted like cords, and have the chains fixed onto the frames. And make a priest's bag for giving decisions, designed like the ephod, made of gold and blue and purple and red and the best linen. It is to be square, folded in 2, a hand stretch long and a hand stretch wide. And on it you are to put 4 lines of jewels. The first line is to be a cornelian, a chrysolite, and an emerald; the second, a ruby, a sapphire, and an onyx; the third, a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst; the fourth, a topaz, a beryl, and a jasper. They are to be fixed in twisted frames of gold. The jewels are to be 12 in number, for the names of the children of Israel, every jewel having the name of one of the 12 tribes cut on it as on a stamp. And you are to make 2 chains of gold, twisted like cords, to be fixed to the priest's bag. And put 2 gold rings on the 2 ends of the bag. Put the 2 gold chains on the 2 rings at the ends of the bag, joining the other ends of the chains to the gold frames and putting them on the front of the ephod, at the top of the arms. Then make 2 gold rings and put them on the lower ends of the bag, at the edge of it on the inner side nearest to the ephod. And make 2 more gold rings and put them on the front of the ephod at the top of the arms, at the join, over the worked band, so that the rings on the bag may be fixed to the rings of the ephod by a blue cord and onto the band of the ephod, so that the bag may not come loose from the ephod. And so Aaron will have the names of the children of Israel on the priest's bag over his heart whenever he goes into the holy place, to keep the memory of them before the Lord. And in the bag you are to put the Urim and Thummim, so that they may be on Aaron's heart whenever he goes in before the Lord, and Aaron may have the power of making decisions for the children of Israel before the Lord at all times. The robe which goes with the ephod is to be made all of blue, with a hole at the top. In the middle of it, the hole is to be edged with a band to make it strong like the hole in the coat of a fighting man, so that it may not be broken open. and round the skirts of it put fruits in blue and purple and red, with bells of gold between, a gold bell and a fruit in turn all round the skirts of the robe. Aaron is to put it on for his holy work, and the sound of it will be clear, when he goes into the holy place before the Lord, and when he comes out, keeping him safe from death. You are to make a plate of the best gold, cutting on it, as on a stamp, these words, Holy to the Lord. Put a blue cord on it and put it on the front of the twisted headdress, and it will be over Aaron's brow, so that Aaron will be responsible for any error in all the holy offerings made by the children of Israel. It will be on his brow at all times, so that their offerings may be pleasing to the Lord. The coat is to be made of the best linen, worked in squares, and you are to make a headdress of linen, and a linen band worked in needlework. And for Aaron's sons you are to make coats, and bands, and headdresses, so that they may be clothed with glory and honor. These you are to put on Aaron, your brother, and on his sons, putting oil on them, separating them and making them holy, to do the work of priests to me. And you are to make them linen trousers, covering their bodies from the middle to the knee. Aaron and his sons are to put these on whenever they go into the tent of meeting or come near the altar, when they are doing the work of the holy place, so that they may be free from any sin causing death. This is to be an order for him and his seed after him forever. Chapter 29. This is what you are to do to make them holy, to do the work of priests to me. Take 1 young ox and 2 male sheep, without any mark on them, and unleavened bread, and unleavened cakes mixed with oil, and thin unleavened cakes on which oil has been put, made of the best bread meal. Put these in a basket and take them, with the ox and the 2 sheep. And let Aaron and his sons come to the door of the tent of meeting, and there let them be washed with water. Take the robes, and put the coat and the dress and the ephod and the priest's bag on Aaron. Put the band of needlework round him, and let the headdress be placed on his head and the holy crown on the headdress. Then take the oil and put it on his head. And take his sons and put their robes on them, and put the linen bands round Aaron and his sons, and the headdresses on them, to make them priests by my order forever. So you are to make Aaron and his sons holy to me. Then let the ox be taken in front of the tent of meeting, and let Aaron and his sons put their hands on its head. And you are to put the ox to death before the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting. Then take some of the blood of the ox, and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, draining out all the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. And take all the fat covering the inside of the ox, and the fat joining the liver and the 2 kidneys with the fat round them, and let them be burned on the altar. But the flesh of the ox and its skin and its waist parts are to be burned outside the circle of the tents, for it is a sin offering. Then take one of the sheep, and let Aaron and his sons put their hands on its head. Then let it be put to death, so that the sides of the altar are marked with its blood. Then the sheep is to be cut up into its parts, and after washing its legs and its inside parts, you are to put them with the parts and the head, and let them all be burned on the altar as a burnt offering to the Lord, a sweet smell, an offering made by fire to the Lord. Then take the other sheep, and after Aaron and his sons have put their hands on its head, you are to put the sheep to death, and take some of its blood and put it on the point of Aaron's right ear, and of the right ears of his sons, and on the thumbs of their right hands and the great toes of their right feet, dropping the rest of the blood on the sides of the altar. Then take some of the blood on the altar, and the oil, and put it on Aaron and his robes and on his sons and on their robes, so that he and his robes and his sons and their robes may be made holy. Then take the fat of the sheep, the fat tail, the fat covering the insides, and the fat joining the liver and the 2 kidneys with the fat round them, and the right leg, for by the offering of this sheep they are to be marked out as priests. And take 1 bit of bread and 1 cake of oiled bread and 1 thin cake out of the basket of unleavened bread which is before the Lord, and put them all on the hands of Aaron and of his sons, to be waved for a wave offering before the Lord. Then take them from their hands, and let them be burned on the burnt offering on the altar, a sweet smell before the Lord, an offering made by fire to the Lord. Then take the breast of Aaron's sheep, waving it before the Lord, and it is to be your part of the offering. So you are to make holy the breast of the sheep which is waved and the leg which is lifted up on high, that is, of the sheep which is offered for Aaron and his sons, and it will be their part as a right forever from the children of Israel. It is a special offering from the children of Israel, made from their peace offerings, a special offering lifted up to the Lord. And Aaron's holy robes will be used by his sons after him. They will put them on when they are made priests. For 7 days the son who becomes priest in his place will put them on when he comes into the tent of meeting to do the work of the holy place. Then take the sheep of the wave offering and let its flesh be cooked in water in a holy place. And let Aaron and his sons make a meal of it, with the bread in the basket, at the door of the tent of meeting. All those things which were used as offerings to take away sin, and to make them holy to be priests, they may have for food, but no one who is not a priest may have them, for they are holy food. And if any of the flesh of the offering or of the bread is over till the morning, let it be burnt with fire. It is not to be used for food, for it is holy. All these things you are to do to Aaron and his sons as I have given you orders. For 7 days the work of making them priests is to go on. Every day an ox is to be offered as a sin offering, to take away sins, and by this offering on it, you will make the altar clean from sin, and you are to put oil on it and make it holy. For 7 days you are to make offerings for the altar and make it holy, so that it may become completely holy, and anything touching it will become holy. Now this is the offering which you are to make on the altar: 2 lambs in their first year, every day regularly. 1 lamb is to be offered in the morning and the other in the evening, and with the 1 lamb, 1/10 part of an ephah of the best meal, mixed with 1/4 part of a hin of clear oil, and 1/4 part of a hin of wine for a drink offering. And the other lamb is to be offered in the evening, and with it the same meal offering and drink offering, for a sweet smell, an offering made by fire to the Lord. This is to be a regular burnt offering made from generation to generation, at the door of the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I will come face to face with you and have talk with you. There I will come face to face with the children of Israel, and the tent will be made holy by my glory. I will make holy the tent of meeting and the altar, and Aaron and his sons I will make holy. To be my priest among the children of Israel I will make my living place, and I will be their God. And they will see that I am the Lord their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt, so that I might be ever with them. I am the Lord their God. Chapter 30. And you are to make an altar for the burning of perfume, of hard wood let it be made. The altar is to be square, 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide, and 2 cubits high, and its horns are to be made of the same. It is to be plated with the best gold, the top of it and the sides and the horns, with an edging of gold all round it. Under the edge on the 2 opposite sides, you are to make 2 gold rings, to take the rods for lifting it. And make these rods of the same wood, plating them with gold. And let it be placed in front of the veil before the ark of the law, before the cover which is over the law, where I will come face to face with you. And on this altar sweet spices are to be burned by Aaron every morning when he sees to the lights. And every evening, when he puts the lights up in their places, the spices are to be burned, a sweet-smelling smoke going up before the Lord from generation to generation forever. No strange perfume, no burnt offering or meal offering, and no drink offering is to be offered on it. And once every year Aaron is to make its horns clean. With the blood of the sin offering he is to make it clean once every year from generation to generation. It is most holy to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, when you are taking the number of the children of Israel, let every man who is numbered give to the Lord a price for his life, so that no disease may come on them when they are numbered. And this is what they are to give: let every man who is numbered give half a shekel, by the scale of the holy place, the shekel being valued at 20 gerahs. This money is an offering to the Lord. Everyone who is numbered, from 20 years old and over, is to give an offering to the Lord. The man of wealth is to give no more and the poor man no less than the half shekel of silver, when the offering is made to the Lord as the price for your lives. And you are to take this money from the children of Israel to be used for the work of the tent of meeting, to keep the memory of the children of Israel before the Lord and to be the price of your lives. And the Lord said to Moses, you are to make a brass washing vessel, with a brass base, and put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, with water in it, that it may be used by Aaron and his sons for washing their hands and feet. Whenever they go into the tent of meeting they are to be washed with water, to keep them from death, and whenever they come near to do the work of the altar, or to make an offering by fire to the Lord, their hands and feet are to be washed so that they may be safe from death. This is an order to them forever, to him and his seed from generation to generation. And the Lord said to Moses, Take the best spices, 500 shekels weight of liquid myrrh, and of sweet cinnamon half as much, that is, 250 shekels, and 250 shekels of sweet calamus, and of cassia, 500 shekels weight measured by the scale of the holy place, and of olive oil a hin, and make these into a holy oil, a perfume made by the art of the perfume maker. It is to be a holy oil. This oil is to be put on the tent of meeting, and on the ark of the law, and on the table and all its vessels, and on the support for the lights, with its vessels, and on the altar for burning spices, and on the altar of burnt offerings with its vessels, and on the washing vessel and its base. And you are to make them most holy, anything touching them will become holy. And put the oil on Aaron and his sons, making them holy to do the work of priests to me. And say to the children of Israel, This is to be the Lord's holy oil, from generation to generation. It is not to be used for man's flesh, and no other is to be made like it. Holy it is, and you are to keep it holy. Whoever makes any like it, or puts it on one who is not a priest, will be cut off from his people. And the Lord said to Moses, Take sweet spices, stacte and onycha and galbanum, with the best frankincense, in equal weights, and make from them a perfume, such as is made by the art of the perfume maker, mixed with salt, and clean and holy. And put some of it, crushed very small, in front of the ark in the tent of meeting, where I will come face to face with you. It is to be most holy. You are not to make any perfume like it for yourselves, it is to be kept holy to the Lord. Whoever makes any like it, for its sweet smell, will be cut off from his people. Chapter 31. And the Lord said to Moses, I have made selection of Bezalel, the son of Uri, by name, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have given him the Spirit of God and made him wise and full of knowledge and expert in every sort of handwork, to do all sorts of delicate work in gold and silver and brass, in cutting stones for framing, and to do every form of woodwork. And I have made selection of Aholop with him, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and in the hearts of all who are wise I have put the knowledge to make whatever I have given you orders to have made, the tent of meeting, and the ark of the law, and the cover which is on it, and all the things for the tent, and the table with its vessels, and the holy light support with all its vessels, and the altar for the burning of spices, and the altar of burnt offerings with all its vessels, and the washing vessel with its base, and the robes of needlework, the holy robes for Aaron and for his sons, for their use when acting as priests, and the holy oil, and the perfume of sweet spices for the holy place. They will do whatever I have given you orders to have done. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel that they are to keep my Sabbaths, for the Sabbath day is a sign between me and you through all your generations, so that you may see that I am the Lord who makes you holy. So you are to keep the Sabbath as a holy day, and anyone not honoring it will certainly be put to death. Whoever does any work on that day will be cut off from his people. 6 days may work be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death. And the children of Israel are to keep the Sabbath holy, from generation to generation, by an eternal agreement. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, because in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he took his rest and had pleasure in it. And when his talk with Moses on Mount Sinai was ended, he gave him the 2 stones of the law, 2 stones on which was the writing made by the finger of God. Chapter 32. And when the people saw that Moses was a long time coming down from the mountain, they all came to Aaron and said to him, Come, make us a god to go before us. As for this Moses, who took us up out of the land of Egypt, we have no idea what has become of him. Then Aaron said to them, Take off the gold rings which are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and give them to me. And all the people took the gold rings from their ears and gave them to Aaron. And he took the gold from them and, hammering it with an instrument, he made it into the metal image of a young ox, and they said, "This is your God, O Israel, who took you out of the land of Egypt." And when Aaron saw this, he made an altar before it, and made a public statement, saying, "Tomorrow there will be a feast to the Lord." So early on the day after they got up and made burnt offerings and peace offerings, and took their seats at the feast, and then gave themselves to pleasure. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go down quickly, for your people, whom you took out of the land of Egypt, are turned to evil ways. Even now they are turned away from the rule I gave them, and have made themselves a metal ox and given worship to it and offerings, saying, 'This is your God, O Israel, who took you up out of the land of Egypt.'" And the Lord said to Moses, "I have been watching this people, and I see that they are a stiff-necked people. Now do not get in my way, for my wrath is burning against them. I will send destruction on them, but of you I will make a great nation." But Moses made prayer to God, saying, "Lord, why is your wrath burning against your people whom you took out of the land of Egypt, with great power and with the strength of your hand? Why let the Egyptians say, 'He took them out to an evil fate, to put them to death on the mountains, cutting them off from the earth'? Let your wrath be turned away from them, and send not this evil on your people. Have in mind Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you gave your oath, saying, 'I will make your seed like the stars of heaven in number, and all this land will I give to your seed,' as I said, to be their heritage forever." So the Lord let himself be turned from his purpose of sending punishment on his people. Then Moses came down the mountain with the 2 stones of the law in his hand. The stones had writing on their 2 sides, on the front and on the back. The stones were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, cut on the stones. Now when the noise and the voices of the people came to the ears of Joshua, he said to Moses, "There is a noise of war in the tents." And Moses said, "It is not the voice of men who are overcoming in the fight, or the cry of those who have been overcome. It is the sound of songs which comes to my ear." And when he came near the tents he saw the image of the ox, and the people dancing, and in his wrath Moses let the stones go from his hands, and they were broken at the foot of the mountain. And he took the ox which they had made, burning it in the fire and crushing it to powder, and he put it in the water and made the children of Israel take a drink of it. And Moses said to Aaron, "What did the people do to you that you let this great sin come on them?" And Aaron said, "Let not my Lord be angry, you have seen how the purposes of this people are evil. For they said to me, 'Make us a god to go before us.' As for this Moses, who took us up out of the land of Egypt, we have no idea what has come to him." Then I said to them, "Whoever has any gold, let him take it off." So they gave it to me, and I put it in the fire, and this image of an ox came out. And Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them loose to their shame before their haters. Then Moses took his place at the way into the tents, and said, "Whoever is on the Lord's side, let him come to me." And all the sons of Levi came together to him. And he said to them, "This is the word of the Lord, the God of Israel. Let every man take his sword at his side, and go from one end of the tents to the other, putting to death his brother and his friend and his neighbor." And the sons of Levi did as Moses said, and about 3,000 of the people were put to death that day. And Moses said, "You have made yourselves priests to the Lord this day, for every one of you has made the offering of his son and his brother. The blessing of the Lord is on you this day." And on the day after, Moses said to the people, "Great has been your sin, but I will go up to the Lord, and see if I may get forgiveness for your sin." Then Moses went back to the Lord and said, "This people has done a great sin, making themselves a god of gold. But now, if you will give them forgiveness, but if not, let my name be taken out of your book." And the Lord said to Moses, "Whoever has done evil against me will be taken out of my book. But now, go, take the people into that place of which I have given you word. See, my angel will go before you, but when the time of my judging has come, I will send punishment on them for their sin." And the Lord sent punishment on the people because they gave worship to the ox which Aaron made. Chapter 33. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go forward from this place, you and the people whom you have taken up out of the land of Egypt, to that land about which I made an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, to your seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before you, driving out the Canaanite and the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. Go up to that land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go up among you, for you are a stiff-necked people, for fear that I send destruction on you while you are on the way. Hearing this bad news, the people were full of grief, and no one put on his ornaments. And the Lord said to Moses, say to the children of Israel, you are a stiff-necked people. If I come among you, even for a minute, I will send destruction on you, so take off all your ornaments, so that I may see what to do with you. So the children of Israel took off their ornaments at Mount Horeb, and did not put them on again. Now it was Moses' way to put up the tent of meeting outside the tent circle, at some distance away, giving it the name of the tent of meeting. And everyone desiring to make his prayer to the Lord went to the tent of meeting outside the tent circle. And whenever Moses went out to the tent of meeting, all the people got up and everyone went to the door of his tent, looking after Moses till he went inside the tent. And whenever Moses went into the tent, the pillar of cloud came down, and took its place by the door of the tent, as long as the Lord was talking with Moses. And all the people saw the cloud at the door of the tent, and they went down on their faces, everyone at the door of his tent. And the Lord had talk with Moses face to face, as a man may have talk with his friend. And when Moses came back to the tents, his servant, the young man Joshua, the son of Nun, did not come away from the tent. And Moses said to the Lord, see, you say to me, be this people's guide on their journey, but you have not made clear to me whom you will send with me. But you have said, I have knowledge of you by name, and you have grace in my eyes. If then I have grace in your eyes, let me see your ways, so that I may have knowledge of you and be certain of your grace. And my prayer is that you will keep in mind that this nation is your people. And he said, I myself will go with you and give you rest. And Moses said, if you yourself are not going with us, do not send us on from here. For is not the fact of your going with us the sign that I and this people have grace in your eyes, so that we, that is, I and your people, are separate from all other people on the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, I will do as you say, for you have grace in my eyes, and I have knowledge of you by your name. And Moses said, O Lord, let me see your glory. And he said, I will make all the light of my being come before you, and will make clear to you what I am. I will be kind to those to whom I will be kind, and have mercy on those on whom I will have mercy. But it is not possible for you to see my face, for no man may see me and still go on living. And the Lord said, see, there is a place near me, and you may take your place on the rock, and when my glory goes by, I will put you in a hole in the rock, covering you with my hand till I have gone past. Then I will take away my hand, and you will see my back, but my face is not to be seen. Chapter 34. And the Lord said to Moses, make 2 other stones like the first 2, and I will put on them the words which were on the first stones, which were broken by you. And be ready by the morning, and come up on Mount Sinai, and come before me there in the morning, on the top of the mountain. No one is to come up with you, and let no man be seen anywhere on the mountain. Let no flocks or herds come near to get their food at its foot. So Moses got 2 stones cut like the first, and early in the morning he went up Mount Sinai, as the Lord had said, with the 2 stones in his hand. And the Lord came down in the cloud and took his place by the side of Moses, and Moses gave worship to the name of the Lord. And the Lord went past before his eyes, saying, the Lord, a God full of pity and grace, slow to wrath and great in mercy and faith, having mercy on thousands, overlooking evil and wrongdoing and sin. He will not let wrongdoers go free, but will send punishment on children for the sins of their fathers, and on their children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. Then Moses quickly went down on his face in worship. And he said, if now I have grace in your eyes, let the Lord go among us, for this is a stiff-necked people, and give us forgiveness for our wrongdoing and our sin, and take us for your heritage. And the Lord said, see, this is what I will undertake. Before the eyes of your people I will do wonders, such as have not been done in all the earth or in any nation, and all your people will see the work of the Lord. For what I am about to do for you is greatly to be feared. Take care to do the orders which I give you today. I will send out from before you the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. But take care, and do not make any agreement with the people of the land where you are going, for it will be a cause of sin to you. But their altars are to be overturned and their pillars broken and their images cut down, for you are to be worshippers of no other God. For the Lord is a God who will not give his honor to another. So see that you make no agreement with the people of the land, and do not go after their gods, or take part in their offerings, or be guests at their feasts, or take their daughters for your sons. For when their daughters give worship before their gods, they will make your sons take part with them. Make for yourselves no gods of metal. Keep the feast of unleavened bread, for 7 days your food is to be bread without leaven, as I gave you orders, at the regular time in the month Abib, for in that month you came out of Egypt. Every first male child is mine, the first male birth of your cattle, the first male of every ox and sheep. A lamb may be given in payment for the young of an ass, but if you will not make payment for it, its neck will have to be broken. For all the first of your sons you are to make payment. No one is to come before me without an offering. 6 days let work be done, but on the 7th day take your rest. At plowing time and at the grain cutting you are to have a day for rest. And you are to keep the feast of weeks when you get in the firstfruits of the grain, and the feast at the turn of the year when you take in the produce of your fields. 3 times in the year let all your males come before the Lord, the God of Israel. For I will send out the nations before you and make wide the limits of your land, and no man will make an attempt to take your land while you go up to give worship to the Lord, 3 times in the year. No leaven is to be offered with the blood of my offering, and the offering of the Passover feast may not be kept till the morning. Take the firstfruits of your land as an offering to the house of the Lord your God. Let not the young goat be cooked in its mother's milk. And the Lord said to Moses, Put all these words in writing, for on them is based the agreement which I will make with you. And for 40 days and 40 nights Moses was there with the Lord, and in that time he had no food or drink. And he put in writing on the stones the words of the agreement, the 10 rules of the law. Now when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, with the 2 stones in his hand, he was not conscious that his face was shining because of his talk with God. But when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, and the shining of his face, they would not come near him for fear. Then Moses sent for them, and Aaron, with the chiefs of the people, came to him, and Moses had talk with them. And later, all the children of Israel came near, and he gave them all the orders which the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. And at the end of his talk with them, Moses put a veil over his face. But whenever Moses went in before the Lord to have talk with him, he took off the veil till he came out. And whenever he came out he said to the children of Israel what he had been ordered to say, and the children of Israel saw that the face of Moses was shining, so Moses put the veil over his face again till he went to the Lord. Chapter 36. And Moses sent for all the children of Israel to come together, and said to them, This is what the Lord has said and these are his orders. 6 days let work be done, but the 7th day is to be a holy day to you, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on that day is to be put to death. No fire is to be lighted in any of your houses on the Sabbath day. And Moses said to all the meeting of the children of Israel, This is the order which the Lord has given. Take from among you an offering to the Lord, everyone who has the impulse in his heart. Let him give his offering to the Lord, gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and red and the best linen and goat's hair, and sheepskins colored red, and leather, and hard wood, and oil for the lights, and spices for the holy oil and for the sweet perfumes for burning, and beryls and jewels to be cut for the ephod and for the priest's bag. And let every wise-hearted man among you come and make whatever has been ordered by the Lord, the house and its tent and its cover, its hooks and its boards, its rods and its pillars and its bases, the ark with its cover and its rods and the veil hanging before it, the table and its rods and all its vessels, and the holy bread, and the support for the lights, with its vessels and its lights, and the oil for the light, and the altar for burning spices, with its rods, and the holy oil and the sweet perfume, and the curtain for the door, at the door of the house, the altar of burnt offerings, with its network of brass, its rods, and all its vessels, the washing vessel and its base, the hangings for the open space, its pillars and their bases, and the curtain for the doorway, the nails for the house, and the nails for the open space and their cords, the robes of needlework for the work of the holy place, the holy robes for Aaron the priest, and the robes for his sons when acting as priests. And all the children of Israel went away from Moses. And everyone whose heart was moved, everyone who was guided by the impulse of his spirit, came with his offering for the Lord, for whatever was needed for the tent of meeting and its work and for the holy robes. They came, men and women, all who were ready to give, and gave pins and nose rings and finger rings and neck ornaments, all of gold. Everyone gave an offering of gold to the Lord. And everyone who had blue and purple and red and the best linen and goat's hair and sheepskins colored red and leather, gave them. Everyone who had silver and brass gave an offering of them to the Lord, and everyone who had hard wood, such as was needed for the work, gave it. And all the women who were expert with their hands, made cloth, and gave the work of their hands, blue and purple and red and the best linen. And those women who had the knowledge, made the goat's hair into cloth. And the rulers gave the beryls and the cudgels for the ephod and the priest's bag, and the spice and the oil for the light, and the holy oil and the sweet perfumes. The children of Israel, every man and woman, from the impulse of their hearts, gave their offerings freely to the Lord for the work which the Lord had given Moses orders to have done. And Moses said to the children of Israel, See, the Lord has made selection of Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and he has made him full of the Spirit of God, in all wisdom and knowledge and art of every sort, as an expert designer of beautiful things, working in gold and silver and brass, trained in the cutting of stones and the ornamenting of wood and in every sort of handwork. And he has given to him, and to Aholop, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, the power of training others. To them he has given knowledge of all the arts of the handworker, of the designer, and the expert workman, of the maker of needlework in blue and purple and red and the best linen, and of the maker of cloth. In all the arts of the designer and the trained workman they are expert. Chapter 36. So let Bezalel and Aholop get to work, with every wise-hearted man to whom the Lord has given wisdom and knowledge, to do whatever is necessary for the ordering of the holy place, as the Lord has given orders. Then Moses sent for Bezalel and Aholop, and for all the wise-hearted men to whom the Lord had given wisdom, even everyone who was moved by the impulse of his heart to come and take part in the work, and they took from Moses all the offerings which the children of Israel had given for the building of the holy place. And still they went on giving him more free offerings every morning. Then the wise men, who were doing all the work of the holy place, came from their work, and said to Moses, The people are giving much more than is needed for the work which the Lord has given us orders to do. So Moses made an order and had it given out through all the tents, saying, Let no man or woman make any more offerings for the holy place. So the people were kept from giving more. For the material they had was enough and more than enough for all the work which had to be done. Then all the expert workmen among them made the house with its 10 curtains, of the best linen, blue and purple and red. They made them, with winged ones worked by expert designers. Every curtain was 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, all of the same measure. And 5 curtains were joined together, and the other 5 curtains were joined together. And they put twists of blue cord on the edge of the outside curtain of the first group, and in the same way on the outside curtain of the second group, 50 twists on the one curtain and 50 on the edge of the curtain of the other group, the twists being opposite to one another. And they made 50 hooks of gold, joining the curtains one to another with the hooks, and so the house was made. And they made curtains of goat's hair for the tent. 11 curtains were made. Every curtain was 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, all of the same measure. 5 curtains were joined together to make one group, and 6 curtains were joined together to make the other group. And they put 50 twists of cord on the edge of the outside curtain of the first group, and 50 twists on the edge of the outside curtain of the second group, and 50 hooks of brass for joining them together to make the tent. And they made a cover of sheepskins colored red, to go over the tent, and a cover of leather over that. And for the uprights of the house they made boards of hard wood. The boards were 10 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. Every board had 2 tongues fixed into it. All the boards were made in this way. They made 20 boards for the south side of the house, and for these 20 boards, 40 silver bases, 2 bases under every board, to take its tongues. And for the second side of the house, on the north, they made 20 boards, with their 40 silver bases, 2 bases for every board. And for the west side of the house, at the back, they made 6 boards, and 2 boards for the angles at the back. These were joined together at the base and at the top to one ring, so forming the 2 angles. So there were 8 boards with 16 bases of silver, 2 bases under every board. And they made rods of hard wood, 5 for the boards on one side of the house, and 5 for the boards on the other side of the house, and 5 for the boards at the back, on the west. The middle rod was made to go right through the rings of all the boards from one end to the other. All the boards were plated with gold, and the rings through which the rods went were of gold, and the rods were plated with gold. And he made the veil of the best linen, blue and purple and red, worked with winged ones designed by expert workmen. And they made 4 pillars for it of hardwood plated with gold. They had hooks of gold and 4 silver bases. And they made a curtain for the door of the tent, of the best linen with needlework of blue and purple and red, and 5 pillars for the curtain, with their hooks. The heads of the pillars were of gold and they were circled with bands of gold, and their 5 bases were of brass. Chapter 37. And Bezalel made the ark of hard wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide and 1.5 cubits high, plating it inside and out with the best gold, and putting an edge of gold all round it. And he made 4 gold rings for its 4 angles, 2 on one side and 2 on the other, and rods of the same wood plated with gold. These rods he put in the rings at the sides of the ark, for lifting it. And he made the cover all of gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. And he made 2 winged ones, hammered out of 1 bit of gold, for the 2 ends of the cover, placing one at one end and one at the other. The winged ones were part of the cover, and their wings were stretched out over the cover. The faces of the winged ones were opposite one another and facing the cover. And he made the table of hard wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide and 1.5 cubits high, plating it with the best gold and putting a gold edge all round it. And he made a frame all round it about as wide as a man's hand, edged with gold all round. And he made 4 gold rings, and put the rings at the angles of its 4 feet. The rings were fixed under the frame to take the rods with which the table was to be lifted. The rods for lifting the table he made of hardwood plated with gold. And all the table vessels, the plates and spoons and basins and the cups for liquids, he made of the best gold. Then he made the support for the lights, all of the best gold. Its base and its pillar were of hammered gold. Its cups and buds and flowers were all made out of the same metal. It had 6 branches coming out from its sides, 3 from one side and 3 from the other, every branch having 3 cups made like almond flowers, every cup with a bud and a flower on all the branches, and on its pillar, 4 cups like almond flowers, every one with its bud and its flower, and under every 2 branches a bud, made with the branch, for all 6 branches of it. The buds and the branches were made of the same metal, altogether one complete work of the best hammered gold. And he made the 7 vessels for the lights, and all the necessary instruments for it, of gold. A talent of the best gold was used for the making of it and its vessels. And he made the altar for the burning of spices, using the same hard wood. It was square, 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide and 2 cubits high, the horns made of the same. The top and the sides and the horns were all plated with the best gold, and he put an edge of gold all round it. And he made 2 gold rings, placing them on the 2 opposite sides under the edge, to take the rods for lifting it. The rods he made of the same hard wood, plating them with gold. And he made the holy oil and the perfume of sweet spices for burning, after the art of the perfume maker. Chapter 38. The altar of burnt offerings he made of hard wood, a square altar, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide and 3 cubits high, and he put horns at its 4 angles made of the same, plating it all with brass, and brass was used for all the vessels of the altar, the baskets and the spades, the basins and the meat hooks and the fire trays, all the vessels he made of brass, and he made a network of brass for the altar, under the frame round it, stretching halfway up, and 4 rings for the 4 angles of this network, to take the rods. The rods he made of hard wood plated with brass. He put the rods through the rings at the opposite sides of the altar for lifting it. He made the altar hollow, boarded in with wood. And he made the washing vessel of brass on a brass base, using the polished brass looking glasses given by the women who did work at the doors of the tent of meeting. To make the open space, he put hangings on the south side, of the best linen, 100 cubits long. Their 20 pillars and their 20 bases were brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. And for the north side, hangings 100 cubits long, on 20 brass pillars in brass bases, with silver hooks and bands. And on the west side, hangings 50 cubits long, on 10 pillars and 10 bases, with silver bands. And on the east side, the open space was 50 cubits long. The hangings on one side of the doorway were 15 cubits long, on 3 pillars with their 3 bases, and the same on the other side of the doorway, on this side and on that. The hangings were 15 cubits long, on 3 pillars with their 3 bases. All the hangings were of the best linen, and the bases of the pillars were of brass. Their hooks and the bands round the tops of them were of silver. All the pillars were ringed with silver. And the curtain for the doorway of the open space was of the best linen, with designs of blue and purple and red in needlework. It was 20 cubits long and 5 cubits high, to go with the hangings round the sides. There were 4 pillars with their bases, all of brass, the hooks being of silver, and their tops and their bands being covered with silver. All the nails used for the house and the open space round it were of brass. This is the price of the making of the house, even the house of witness, as it was valued by the word of Moses, for the work of the Levites under the direction of Itamar, the son of Aaron the priest. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made everything as the Lord had given orders to Moses. And with him was Aholop, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, a designer and a trained workman, expert in needlework of blue and purple and red and the best linen. The gold used for all the different work done for the holy place, the gold which was given, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels in weight, by the scale of the holy place. And the silver given by those who were numbered of the people was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels in weight, by the scale of the holy place. A becker, that is, half a shekel by the holy scale, for everyone who was numbered. There were 603,550 men of 20 years old and over. Of this silver, 100 talents was used for making the bases of the pillars of the holy place and of the veil, a talent for every base, and 1,775 shekels of silver was used to make the hooks for the pillars, and for plating the tops of the pillars and for making their bands. The brass which was given was 70 talents, 2,400 shekels. From it he made the bases of the doorway of the tent of meeting and the brass altar and the network for it and all the vessels for the altar, and the bases for the open space all round and for its doorway, and all the nails for the house and for the open space. Chapter 39. And from the needlework of blue and purple and red they made the robes used for the work of the holy place, and the holy robes for Aaron, as the Lord had given orders to Moses. The ephod he made of gold and blue and purple and red and the best linen, hammering the gold into thin plates and cutting it into wires to be worked into the blue and the purple and the red and the linen by the designer. And they made 2 bands for joining its edges together at the top of the arms, and the beautifully worked band which went on it was of the same design and the same material, worked in gold and blue and purple and red and twisted linen work, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. Then they made the beryl stones, fixed in twisted frames of gold and cut like the cutting of a stamp, with the names of the children of Israel. These he put on the ephod, over the armholes, to be stones of memory for the children of Israel, as the Lord had said to Moses. The priest's bag was designed like the ephod, of the best linen worked with gold and blue and purple and red. It was square and folded in two, as long and as wide as the stretch of a man's hand, and on it they put 4 lines of stones. In the first line was a carnelian, a chrysolite, and an emerald. In the second, a ruby, a sapphire, and an onyx. In the third, a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. In the fourth, a topaz, a beryl, and a jasper. They were fixed in twisted frames of gold. There were 12 stones for the 12 tribes of Israel. On every one the name of one of the tribes of Israel was cut, like the cutting of a stamp. And on the bag they put gold chains, twisted like cords. And they made 2 gold frames and 2 gold rings, the rings being fixed to the ends of the priest's bag. And they put the 2 twisted chains on the 2 rings at the ends of the priest's bag, and the other 2 ends of the chains were joined to the 2 frames and fixed to the front of the ephod over the armholes. And they made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 lower ends of the bag, on the inner side nearest to the ephod. And 2 other gold rings were put on the front of the ephod, over the armholes, at the join, and over the worked band. And the rings on the bag were fixed to the rings of the ephod by a blue cord, keeping it in place over the band, so that the bag might not get loose, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. The robe which went with the ephod was made all of blue, with a hole at the top in the middle, like the hole in the coat of a fighting man, edged with a band to make it strong. The skirts of the robe were worked all round with fruits in blue and purple and red made of twisted linen, and between the fruits all round the skirt they put gold bells, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. All round the skirt of the robe were bells and fruits in turn. The coats for Aaron and his sons they made of the best linen, and the twisted headdress for Aaron, and beautiful headdresses of linen, and linen trousers, and a linen band worked with a design of blue and purple and red, as the Lord had said to Moses. The plate for the holy crown was made of the best gold, and on it were cut these words, Holy to the Lord. It was fixed to the headdress by a blue cord, as the Lord had given orders to Moses. So all the work on the house of the tent of meeting was done, as the Lord had given orders to Moses, so the children of Israel did it. Then they took the house to Moses, the tent with all the things for it, its hooks, its boards, its rods, its pillars, and its bases, the outer cover of sheepskins colored red, and the cover of leather, and the veil for the doorway, the ark of the law, with its rods and its cover, the table, with all its vessels and the holy bread, the support for the lights, with the vessels for the lights to be put in their places on it, and all its vessels, and the oil for the lights, and the gold altar, and the holy oil, and the sweet perfume for burning, and the curtain for the doorway of the tent, and the brass altar, with its network of brass, and its rods and all its vessels, and the washing vessel and its base, the hangings for the open space, with the pillars and their bases, and the curtain for the doorway, and the cords and nails, and all the instruments necessary for the work of the house of the tent of meeting, the robes for use in the holy place, and the holy robes for Aaron and his sons when acting as priests. The children of Israel did everything as the Lord had given orders to Moses. Then Moses, when he saw all their work and saw that they had done everything as the Lord had said, gave them his blessing. Chapter 40. And the Lord said to Moses, On the first day of the first month you are to put up the house of the tent of meeting. And inside it put the ark of the law, hanging the veil before it. And put the table inside, placing all the things on it in order, and put in the support for the lights, and let its lights be burning. And put the gold altar for burning perfumes in front of the ark of the law, hanging the curtain over the doorway of the house. And put the altar of burnt offerings before the doorway of the house of the tent of meeting. And let the washing vessel, with water in it, be put between the tent of meeting and the altar. And put up the hangings forming the open space all round it, with the curtain over its doorway. And take the holy oil and put it on the house and everything in it, and make it and everything in it holy, and put oil on the altar of burnt offering, and make it and all its vessels holy. This altar is to be most holy. And put oil on the washing vessel and its base, and make them holy. Then let Aaron and his sons come to the door of the tent of meeting, and after washing them with water, you are to put on Aaron the holy robes, and you are to put oil on him, and make him holy, so that he may be my priest. And take his sons with him and put coats on them, and put oil on them as you did on their father, so that they may be my priests. The putting on of oil will make them priests forever, from generation to generation. And Moses did this, as the Lord gave him orders. So he did. So on the first day of the first month in the second year the house was put up. Moses put up the house, placing its bases in position and lifting up its uprights, putting in the rods and planting the pillars in their places, stretching the outer tent over it, and covering it, as the Lord had given him orders. And he took the law and put it inside the ark, and put the rods at its side and the cover over it, and he took the ark into the house, hanging up the veil before it as the Lord had given him orders. And he put the table in the tent of meeting, on the north side outside the veil. And he put the bread on it in order before the Lord, as the Lord had said. The support for the lights he put in the tent of meeting, opposite the table, on the south side, lighting the lights before the Lord, as the Lord had given him orders. And he put the gold altar in the tent of meeting, in front of the veil, burning sweet perfumes on it, as the Lord had given him orders. And he put up the curtain at the doorway of the house. And at the door of the house of the tent of meeting, he put the altar of burnt offerings, offering on it the burnt offering and the meal offering, as the Lord had given him orders. And between the altar and the tent of meeting he put the vessel with water in it for washing. In it the hands and feet of Moses and Aaron and his sons were washed, whenever they went into the tent of meeting, and when they came near the altar, as the Lord had given orders to Moses. And he put out the hangings forming the open space round the house and the altar, and put the curtain over the doorway. So Moses made the work complete. Then the cloud came down covering the tent of meeting, and the house was full of the glory of the Lord, so that Moses was not able to go into the tent of meeting, because the cloud was resting on it, and the house was full of the glory of the Lord. And whenever the cloud was taken up from the house, the children of Israel went forward on their journey, but while the cloud was there, they made no move till it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was resting on the house by day, and at night there was fire in the cloud, before the eyes of all the people of Israel, and so it was through all their journeys.